Chapter 2763. Haven't you seen a handsome guy before? 3. After further discussion, they finally came up with a detailed plan and decided to take down Lung Ruoxue and the others one by one. However, the difficulty now was that the people in the courtyard did not even step out of the house and refused to see them. If they forced their way in, they were afraid that they would offend the people in the courtyard even more. AI, what should he do? After thinking for a long time, everyone decided to wait for the rabbit. Their actions had naturally been reported in detail to Lung Ruoxue and the others by the 2 reincarnation pills who were responsible for passing on the message. After knowing the other party's plan, Lung Ruoxue was very calm. On the other hand, Uncle Long and the others were rather depressed. The other party had angered Shui, so there was no point in guarding them, right? It was impossible for them to help an outsider. After all, they and Shui were in the same country. This time, they didn't want to leave their residence even more. The reincarnation pills seemed to have read their minds, so it became even more responsible for guarding the place. Mang Tan, the elder who was in charge of monitoring Lung Ruoxue and the others, looked at the 2 reincarnation pills that were swaying randomly not far away from him. He really wanted to rush forward and snatch them away. However, none of the elders dared to do so because they knew that it was useless even if they obtained the 2 reincarnation pills. The other party did not even care about them. This fact also made the elders very worried. A week later, Shui Mo, who had been paying attention to them, felt a headache when he saw that the elders had made no progress. How could these guys be so useless? He couldn't even handle a little human girl? In the end, Shui Mo decided to do it himself. Of course, he wasn't trying to persuade Huiyu. He just wanted to see if Lung Ruoxue had disappeared as well. The facts had proven that Lung Ruoxue was still giving him face and did not reject him at the door. After being released by the 2 reincarnation pills, Shui Mo couldn't help but stare at them for a long time. At this moment, he heard a slightly darker reincarnation elixir fire roar. What are you looking at? Have you never seen a handsome guy before? Shui Mo was speechless. It wasn't that she had never seen a handsome guy before, but she had never seen a pill that called itself a handsome guy. At this moment, he suddenly understood Huiyu and the others' love and hate for the 2 reincarnation pills. Then, he collected his thoughts and calmly walked to the living room. The elder who was guarding outside the courtyard saw that the old grandmadam had made a move, and his heart that had been in his throat finally relaxed. After Shui Mo entered the living room, he greeted Uncle Long and the others before looking at Lung Ruoxue and said with a smile, "Little girl, it's really hard to get in here. Senior Shui Mo, are you blaming me for rejecting you in the territory of the Qilin race?" Lung Ruoxue laughed, as well, and replied with a fiery tone, "Ugh, what a big temper." Hearing this, Shui Mo smiled bitterly in his heart helplessly. He still smiled and said, "Little girl, that's not what I meant. Huiyu provoked you, so you don't have to vent your anger on me, right? I don't think I've offended you. That's why I didn't reject Senior Shui Mo." Lung Ruoxue replied with a faint smile, "But you've rejected many elders. They shouldn't have provoked you, right?" Shui Mo couldn't help but ask. "Yes, but they're obviously on Fire Yu's side. They're all trying to plead for him, so they can only be treated the same way as Fire Yu." Lung Ruoxue said matter-of-factly, "Then, aren't you afraid that I'm here to plead for that idiot Huiyu by letting me in?" Shui Mo asked with a smile. "You won T. If you want to plead for it, you would have come a long time ago. You wouldn't have waited until now." Lung Ruoxue said, "Ha ha, you know me well. However, I still want you to give me some face. You can just fix the Fire Yu, but can you be magnanimous and let the other elders enter and leave freely? This way, you can also observe their performance, right?" Shui Mo suggested. "You're right." Lung Ruoxue nodded, giving Shui Mo face. In fact, she didn't intend to make things difficult for the elders for too long. She just wanted them to show their attitude. Now that Shui Mo had said so, she had no reason to be unreasonable. Shui Mo was naturally happy to see Lung Ruoxue giving him so much face. He then dragged Lung Ruoxue to an empty room to study the array. Thanks when the elders who had been granted permission to not be stopped heard this news, It was as if they had been granted a general pardon. Their hearts were filled with excitement. Then, the elders split up and went to find Uncle Long and the others who thought they had a good relationship with each other. Uncle Long naturally did not refuse them, but no matter what the elders said, Uncle Long and the others would not relent and plead for Huiyu. After that, when the elders heard that Lung Ruoxue had been dragged away by the old ancestor to study formations, they were even more depressed. Old ancestor, why are you studying formations now? Don't tell me you've forgotten that curing the clan leader is our top priority right now. It was obvious that they did not understand Shui Mo's thoughts, let alone Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue and Shui Mo, who had been hiding in their room, seemed to have forgotten everything. This research had taken up a month. Lung Ruoxue and Shui Mo only walked out of the room when Uncle Long and the others were getting impatient. Seeing the joy on Shui Mo's face, Uncle Long and the others knew that Shui Mo's suspicion must have been resolved. Otherwise, he wouldn't be smiling so happily. However, his juniors were obviously ready to jump up and down. After Shui Mo left, Lung Ruoxue asked Uncle Long curiously, "How's the Qilin clan's performance recently? They're so good. They'll listen to any of our requests, including the rude requests we make things difficult for them." Uncle Long couldn't help but nod in satisfaction when he thought of the treatment he received this month. Yes. Jiangming also nodded his head vigorously. Then, he said with a serious expression, "However, they have also tried their best to hook up with our 2 reincarnation pills. The funny thing is those 2 little guys simply ignored those people." Jiangming couldn't help but smile when he said this. One of the reincarnation pills was refined by Shui for the Qilin race. All the ingredients were provided by the Qilin race. The Qilin race even had to pay Shui for it. However, the reincarnation pill that they had refined with great difficulty had its own consciousness. It wasn't under the control of the Qilin race at all. They had definitely suffered a double loss. Was there anyone in this world more miserable than them? When he thought of this, he wanted to light a row of candles for the Qilin race. They were really too pitiful, weren't they? After Lung Ruoxue heard the report, she nodded in satisfaction. "It's about time. You can let them go. When they come to find you again, you can just go with the flow." Everyone agreed. If they continued, it wouldn't just be to show their toughness, but to attract hatred. So, it was most important to stop while they were ahead. Just like that, the hard work of the elders of the Qilin clan for a month finally paid off. Of course, at least that was what they thought. When they found out that Uncle Long and the rest had pleaded for mercy on behalf of the clan leader after Lung Ruoxue had finished studying the array, the elders were so touched that they were about to cry. Then, the elders accompanied Huiyu to apologize to Lung Ruoxue sincerely. Lung Ruoxue forgave Huiyu happily, but of course, a beating was inevitable. But from now on, everyone could have fun together again. After everyone was happy, the great elder of the Qilin clan carefully suggested that Lung Ruoxue could bring the reincarnation pills to help the clan leader heal as soon as possible. After hearing this, Lung Ruoxue only glanced at the Fire Yu indifferently and did not say anything. Seeing this, the Qilin great elder immediately declared, "Don't worry, Miss Lung. We'll finish the preliminary work as soon as possible. They'll come to invite you personally. And then they'll be waiting for you, great elder." Lung Ruoxue nodded. Anyway, it was fine as long as she didn't use her body temperature to help. Otherwise, she would definitely remember that unpleasant experience and beat Huiyu up again. As if he could read Lung Ruoxue's mind, Huiyu could not help but shiver. He then quickly lowered his head. After obtaining Lung Ruoxue's promise, the Qilin elder tactfully dragged Huiyu along and left with the rest. If they continued to stay here, the consequences would be unimaginable if their acting clan head, who was always so silly, accidentally offended Lung Ruoxue. 3 days later, the great elder of the Qilin clan, who had prepared everything, came to invite Lung Ruoxue personally. After bringing Lung Ruoxue back to the ice room, the ice that Lung Ruoxue had seen previously had disappeared. All she could see was a huge ice bed. On the bed was an ice blue Qilin that was as large as a mountain. He looked a little familiar. However, the Qilin's original form looked similar, only their colors were different. Hence, Lung Ruoxue assumed that she had seen a Qilin with a different attribute and didn't think much about it. But this was the patriarch of the Qilin race? Lung Ruoxue looked at the great elder of the Qilin clan with a heart full of questions. The first elder of the Qilin clan nodded with a worried expression. This is our clan leader. Tens of thousands of years ago, he was seriously injured and has been in a coma since. With that, the great elder of the Qilin clan bowed deeply towards Lung Ruoxue and said seriously, "Young Miss Lung, our Qilin clan will never forget the great kindness you have shown us. Please forgive me if I've been disrespectful to you before. Great elder, you're being too serious. Although the fire you seem to have changed into a different person after that, I'm afraid that I would have left the Qilin clan long ago if I had really been calculated with it. So please believe me, I also want to save your clan leader. However, you seem to have thanked the wrong person for curing your clan leader." Lung Ruoxue teased with a smile after hearing First Elder's words. "I have to thank you for these 2 reincarnation pills, but Miss Lung, we have to thank you even more. If it wasn't for you, no one would be able to refine reincarnation pills now. Therefore, in the end, you are the greatest benefactor of our Qilin clan." The first elder of the Qilin clan glanced gratefully at the 2 purplish-gold reincarnation pills that were revolving around Lung Ruoxue. Chapter 2764. Am not made of paper, 1. Other than being truly grateful to Lung Ruoxue for refining the reincarnation pill, the first elder of the Qilin clan also wanted to flatter her, who asked her to be an amazing alchemist in their hearts. While he was sucking up to her, he was also paying attention to the reaction of the 2 reincarnation pills. When he saw that the 2 of them did not protest and were even leisurely circling around Lung Ruoxue, his heart was set. He started to use pleasant words as if they were free of charge. It was only when Lung Ruoxue could no longer bear to listen to these compliments and change the topic at the right time that the Qilin Great Elder gave up with an embarrassed look. After that, Lung Ruoxue greeted the 2 reincarnation pills. Then, as per the request of the reincarnation pills, she left the ice room with the first elder. At first, the Qilin Great Elder didn't want to leave. He was very curious about how the reincarnation pill would cure the clan leader. Unfortunately, the 2 reincarnation pills seemed to go on strike in the presence of outsiders, so the Great Elder had no choice but to obediently leave. As soon as they left, the 2 reincarnation pills began to work. If Lung Ruoxue was here, she would have noticed the changes in the reincarnation pill. The 2 reincarnation pills began to spin at high speed, like 2 streams of light dancing around the huge ice blue Qilin, and starlight fell on the ice blue Qilin. As soon as the starlight touched the Qilin's body, it immediately disappeared into it as if it had never been there. Soon, the room returned to its usual calm. Then, the same situation repeated itself. 3 days later, when Lung Ruoxue returned to the ice room, she realized that First Elder and the other Qilin who had not returned with her were still dutifully guarding the ice room. The moment they saw her, they immediately surrounded her and looked at her with a face full of resentment. The Qilin Grand Elder couldn't help but ask on behalf of the other Qilin, "Young Lady Lung, it's already been 3 days. Why hasn't the clan leader recovered yet?" "Great Elder, I think the Qilin clan's patriarch's injuries are too serious, so he needs more time. You don't have to worry too much. Since the reincarnation pill refined by my master said that it can cure your patriarch, you should believe it. Otherwise, if it knows, it will be unhappy." Lung Ruoxue consoled. In fact, her words were already very subtle. If it were someone else, she might have said it directly. What was the rush? You guys don't have any other way anyway, so you can only try it as a last resort. But now that she was facing so many worried and conflicted Qilin race elders, she could only tactfully express her thoughts. However, the Qilin Great Elder also understood her meaning. Therefore, the first elder quickly appeased the other Qilin elders, and everyone waited patiently. Who knew that this wait would last for a month? In this 1 month, The elders of the Qilin clan had wanted to ask Lung Ruoxue for help to go in and take a look countless times. However, they were all suppressed by the Great Elder. Since the Qilin clan leader's injuries had yet to be treated, Lung Ruoxue and the rest could not leave immediately. They could only stay in the Qilin clan. Thanks in the days that followed, Lung Ruoxue did not waste any time. It just so happened that First Elder and the rest were here, so she dragged them along to refine pills and weapons. But in this way, Uncle Long and Master Ning were even more bored. Even though the two of them were not willing to stay here for long, and Shui had told them to return first and return after the Qilin clan leader had recovered, they would not let Shui and the other alchemists and weapon refiners stay in the Tiger's Denver. If the Qilin clan leader's injuries were not fully recovered, and the Qilin clan became angry out of embarrassment and used Shui and the others as punching bags, it would be bad. Therefore, the two of them had a private discussion. I can't leave now. But if they didn't leave, the two of them would be very bored. In addition, the Qilin elders, who they had a good relationship with, were all guarding the Qilin tribe leader. The two of them had nothing to do and could only sit in the living room and stare at each other. AI, it's so boring. In the living room, Uncle Long had sighed countless times. Uncle Long, I'm bored too. So can you stop saying these words all the time? You're making me very annoyed. Master Ning said helplessly. Shui was temporarily in seclusion to refine pills and weapons, but those cute little beasts were also clamoring to go into seclusion, making him even more bored. Now, other than Uncle Long, this rotten old man, he couldn't even find anyone to talk to. You think I'm not annoyed? Come, let's have a fight. I haven't fought in a long time. My hands are itching. Uncle Long suggested. Then he stood up and dragged Master Ning to find a place to fight. Master Ning didn't refuse, and the two walked out together. However, after walking around the territory of the Qilin clan several times, they didn't find a suitable place to fight. They didn't dare to start a fight around the territory of the Qilin clan. Otherwise, the Qilin clan might think that they were provoking them. However, the two's actions were like headless flies, which also attracted the curious gazes of many Qilin guards. One of the Qilins asked out of curiosity. When he learned that the two of them wanted to fight, his eyes suddenly lit up. You want to fight? He'll accompany you. The Kirin's eyes glowed green, as if it had found a new toy. Looking at it, and comparing the height difference between the two sides, Uncle Long was silent. This Qilin guard was currently in its original form. It was much taller than them, and its leg was as thick as their waists. He wanted to fight with them? More importantly, although the Qilin was only a guard, its strength was also at the reverent god level. In its original form, the Qilin was absolutely invincible, so neither of them wanted to accept a challenge. However, this Qilin race guard was obviously a stubborn and one-track-minded fellow. He only knew that the two people in front of him wanted to fight, but he didn't even think about whether they wanted to fight him or not. Therefore, it enthusiastically grabbed Uncle Long and Master Ning with its two huge claws and threw them on its back, then disappeared at the gate of the Qilin clan as fast as lightning. In addition, it was a wind attribute Qilin, so its speed was extremely fast. By the time Uncle Long and Master Ning realized that they had been kidnapped, they had already been taken to a relatively strange place. Where was this place? Bear Mountain? The wilderness? Uncle Long and Master Ning looked at each other in silence, wondering why the Qilin had brought them to this place where even birds didn't want to poop. At this moment, they were surrounded by a series of small mountains. Those small mountains were only a little higher than the Qilin in front of them. Not a single blade of grass grew on the mountains, and it was very desolate. The place they were standing on was relatively flat, so much so that the two of them deeply wondered what kind of place they were. As if he had seen through their doubts, a certain Kirin, who was full of interest, explained to the two of them excitedly, "This place is not bad, right? This is a place where we like-minded Qilin sparring. It's just that they've been too busy recently, so we haven't sparred for a long time. It's good that you have this idea today, so they'll play with you." Chapter 2765. Am not made of paper, too, but we don't want to play with you. Uncle Long and Master Ning looked troubled. They could tell that this was a Chelan that was crazy for fighting, and it was fast, so they knew that they wouldn't be able to gain any advantage if they fought it. More importantly, Uncle Long and Master Ning didn't want to have a serious fight. They were just bored. But now with this Chelan, they had to be serious. AI. He was so conflicted. Just do your best. They were also afraid that this Chelan would pester them endlessly. If they didn't use their full strength and lost, they would lose face again. What should he do now? Uncle Long and Master Ning suddenly felt like they were riding a tiger and couldn't stop. However, the two of them were too embarrassed to refuse the Kiran's extremely hot eyes. Otherwise, this Kiran who was too excited would probably get angry. Without any other choice, the two of them shamelessly asked Lung Ruoxue for help. Lung Ruoxue, who was refining pills with Shenhua and the rest, was shocked when she received the call for help from Uncle Long and Master Ning. When she heard the two of them calling for help, Lung Ruoxue had no patience to listen to anything else and went to find Feng Yi in a hurry. At this moment, Feng Yi was being recruited by Bing Yan. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had come to look for him, the listless him immediately became excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. You bastard! Recently, the elders had all been guarding the clan leader. There were many things in the clan that no one had handled. Bing Yun, that shameless thing, treated him like a silly boy and ordered him around. He even used the clan to threaten him, causing him to be able to work hard without complaint. As for this pitiful child, he had long been hoping that someone would save him from his misery. Hence, when he saw Lung Ruoxue now, he felt closer to her than he would to his family. Lung Ruoxue didn't say anything else. She pulled Feng Yi aside and said, "Hurry up and follow me." He directly dragged Feng Yi away in front of Bing Yan. Bing Yan saw this and wanted to stop them, but the two of them had disappeared. Feng Yi's infuriating words rang in her ears. "I'll go with you, even if we have to go to the ends of the earth." Ice's mouth twitched as she tried her best to forget this sentence and did what she should do. Even though Lung Ruoxue was shocked by his words, she did not have the time to argue with Feng Yi. She dragged him to the meeting place with First Elder and the rest, and ordered Feng Yi to bring them to Uncle Long and Godfather. "Where?" Feng Yi was stunned. "I don't know." Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes innocently and did not ask. Feng Yi was dumbfounded. First Elder and the rest were also dumbfounded. Shui'er's words were too innocent and too cute. "I can't stand it. How could you be so cute?" After recovering from their shock, First Elder and the rest looked at Lung Ruoxue with sparkling eyes. Even Feng Yi felt that Lung Ruoxue's little appearance was very cute. Feng Yi, who was overflowing with love, consoled Lung Ruoxue with a look of sympathy and worry. "It doesn't matter if you don't know. You can ask me now. As long as you can tell me the general situation, I can find all the places within 100 miles of the Chelan clan." "They'll ask now." Lung Ruoxue laughed awkwardly, then sent a voice transmission to Uncle Long and her godfather. In reality, after the two of them had called for Shui'er to save them, they were cut off by the anxious Lung Ruoxue. At that time, the two of them were extremely depressed. Sob, Shui'er doesn't care about them anymore. This fact was too hurtful. Just as the two of them were about to cry silently in their hearts, Shui'er's voice transmission came. This time, it was to ask for their address. Instantly, the two of them were revived on the spot with full health. They knew it. How could Shui'er not care about them? "Thanks, but where's this place?" They did not know either. They looked at each other hesitantly and turned around to try to get the guards to talk, but a certain Chelan couldn't give them a reason for this place. He only said that this was a place where many Chelan often came to play. "A place that you often come to play? No name?" When the two of them told Lung Ruoxue their answer, Lung Ruoxue was conflicted. "Take us to the place you hang out often," she said to Feng Sun after that. Feng Sun was silent for a moment, then said cautiously, "Are you sure you want to go?" "Of course, hurry up. Saving people is like putting out a fire. If Uncle Long and Godfather lose a single hair, I won't let you off." Lung Ruoxue threatened. Did she look like she was joking? "What does this have to do with me?" Feng Yi said with an aggrieved expression. "You're dilly-dallying. You're delaying my time to save them." Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. These words made Feng Yi deeply depressed. After that, he obediently returned to his original form and greeted Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Quickly sit on it. Don't waste any more time. He was really scared of this unreasonable woman. Woo-woo. Bad guy. They were all a bunch of bad guys. You only know how to bully the honest Qilin. Feng Yi truly felt that his current status was very low. It seemed that all of this had only started when he met Lung Ruoxue, right? Hee, I've never ridden a Qilin before. At this time, First Elder said with a smile. These words made Feng Yi even more depressed. What kind of people were these? If not for Lung Ruoxue's threat, would he have allowed these humans to sit on his back? He glanced at Lung Ruoxue with hidden bitterness. Feng Yi's face was red as he said, I did it all for you. Lung Ruoxue ignored Feng Yi's pitiful expression and gave him a kick in the butt, indicating for him to leave quickly. Feng Yi resigned himself to his fate and ran out. Soon, they arrived at their destination. This is the place, Feng Yi said honestly, a hint of shyness on his face. When Lung Ruoxue saw the place, she immediately jumped down from Feng Yi's back. She looked up at her surroundings and was immediately speechless. What was this place? What was the situation with the pairs of Qilins hugging each other? Is this the place you guys often play? Lung Ruoxue asked uncertainly. Her instinct told her that the place Uncle Long mentioned was definitely not the same place that Feng Yi had brought them to. Yup, ever since we came of age, we've been coming here often for dates. Feng Yi said, a little embarrassed. He even lowered his head shyly. A place to date the opposite sex. Lung Ruoxue and the rest were confused. Other than this place, are there any other places you go often? Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. Uncle Long and Godfather would never come here. She dared to guarantee it. No more, Feng Yi said honestly. Then, he couldn't help but ask, what happened? Tell me, they'll help you analyze it. You know how to analyze? Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. It was not that she looked down on Feng Yi, but the impression he gave her had always been a little stupid. Could he really analyze anything? Chapter 2766. Am not made of paper. 3. Of course I can. Am one of the most intelligent Qilins in the Qilin clan. Feng Yi said proudly. After hearing this, Lung Ruoxue and the others fell silent once more. However, Lung Ruoxue still gave him face and said, Uncle Long and Godfather were calling for help. I'm afraid something might have happened to them. What could have happened to them in the Qilin race? Could it be that some female Qilin has taken a fancy to them? When Feng Yi heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he gave an ambiguous smile. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she couldn't help but give it another vicious kick and said angrily, Do you think Uncle Long and Godfather are like you, unable to move when they see a female Qilin? Men and male beasts are the same. It's normal for the opposite sex to attract each other. Why wouldn't Shui be willing to admit it? Feng Yi winked at Lung Ruoxue, making her want to kick him again. But this time, Feng Yi learned his lesson. After saying this, it immediately jumped to a safe distance and said, What I said is not impossible. Shui, you should consider it carefully. Consider my ass. Quickly take us to other places. Lung Ruoxue ordered. All right then. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was unwilling to face the truth, Feng Yi was also very impatient. After that, he accepted his fate and brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest around to search. After searching for a long time, Feng Yi finally found Uncle Long and Master Ning's aura in a mountain stream. So he directly landed. So you guys are here. I've been looking for you. As soon as they landed, Feng Yi started to complain. Crazy. What are you doing here? The Qilin guard said unhappily when he saw Feng Yi. You bastard. You're the crazy one. Your whole family is crazy. Hearing this, Feng Yi was instantly enraged. My family seems to include you. A certain Kirin said in a calm manner. Feng Sun was silent. Lung Ruoxue and the rest were speechless as well. This was the first time they had seen an idiot scolding themselves as well. However, none of them had expected that these two Qilins were actually a family. While Feng Yi and the other party were bickering, Lung Ruoxue took the opportunity to observe Uncle Long and godfather carefully. Seeing that they were fine, she was instantly relieved. Then, she pulled the two of them and asked them about the whole incident in a low voice. When she found out that the two of them had called for help in a moment of desperation because the Qilin guard wanted to fight them, Lung Ruoxue didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The great elder even gave them a look of disdain. How embarrassing. How big of a matter was it to cause them trouble? We don't want to fight it. Uncle Long smiled awkwardly. Then you call me here because you want me to fight it? Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes and asked in a speechless manner. No, this guy is a battle maniac. We were entangled by it and had no choice but to ask you for help. Hee. Shwet, you must have a way, right? Master Ning looked at Lung Ruoxue with a fawning expression. What if I say that I have no other choice? Lung Ruoxue said in all seriousness. Schwerer, you can't just leave me in the lurch. Master Ning said with a sad face. Lung Ruoxue looked at her godfather's expression and knew that he was pretending to be pitiful. However, she did not expose him. Instead, she walked over to the green Qilin that looked exactly like Feng Yi and sized it up. Originally, the green Qilin had been glaring at Feng Yi, who knew that it would suddenly feel a very hot gaze, which made its little heart tremble. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen it before? The green Qilin could not take it anymore. It was getting goosebumps from Lung Ruoxue's stare. Woo-woo, bad guy, why are you targeting it? One had to know that there was a saying that was circulating throughout the Qilin clan. That was to never be targeted by Lung Ruoxue. Otherwise, it might end up like Feng Yi. It did not intend to lose its precious freedom like Feng Yi. Indeed, I've never seen him before. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head seriously and extended her dainty jade-like hand to grab the other party's large claw as a gesture. Fenghua. The Azure Kirin replied in a daze. Uncle Long and Master Ning finally knew the name of the Qilin. Feng Yi smiled and added, He's my family's battle-loving idiot Qilin, my uncle's younger brother. Now, he somewhat understood why this idiot had kidnapped Uncle Long and Master Ning. Lung Ruoxue was surprised to hear that Feng Yi had called another Qilin an idiot. I'm clearly an idiot. Now he was still calling other Qilins like this. She really didn't know how Feng Yi's brain worked. Magical, too magical. At this moment, Fenghua also protested. Damn it, you're the younger brother, and the older brother, okay? Thanks. After hearing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but admit that Feng Yi's words were indeed a little stupid. He didn't mind that Feng Yi called him an idiot, but he was concerned that he wasn't his brother? What kind of logic was that? After a moment of silence, Lung Ruoxue turned to Fenghua and said, Peerless beauty, I heard that you like to fight. How about we have a competition? I do like to fight, but I never fight with women. Besides, my name is Fenghua. Please don't give me random names. Fenghua said with a serious face. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh to herself. She then said cautiously, Please don't treat me like a woman. Furthermore, the peerless and magnificent are already connected, so this name is very suitable for you. Oh, really? All right. You can call me Peerless Beauty, but I still can't help but treat you as a woman, and you're still so young. Fenghua said gloomily. She gestured with her claws again, and it was Lung Ruoxue's turn to be depressed. It wasn't difficult for her to admit that she wasn't as big as one of the other party's legs. It was true. So, I want to compete with you. If you want to compete, you should compete with the two of them. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue didn't deny it, Fenghua told her the truth and pointed at Uncle Long and Master Ning. Peerless beauty, are you sure you don't want to give me face? Lung Ruoxue asked again. Women are to be pampered, not beaten. So I won't fight you. Fenghua stretched out her huge paw and touched Lung Ruoxue's head. Was she being touched as a pet by a beastie? Lung Ruoxue was conflicted and depressed. This was her specialty. Why did Qilin get there first? Sob. Lung Ruoxue burst into tears. Moreover, a somewhat silly Qilin actually knew that women were meant to be pampered. This was really too incredible. Lung Ruoxue remained silent for a long time. Seeing this, Fenghua was worried and asked carefully, What's wrong? Did I hurt you? It was referring to the moment when he touched Lung Ruoxue's head. am not made of paper. Lung Ruoxu's face was covered in tears. As expected, Feng Ju's family was all abnormal. Sob. She didn't want to stay here anymore. She wanted to go home. At that moment, no words could describe Lung Ruoxu's depression. At the same time, a deafening roar broke through the air, shocking Feng Yi and Feng Hua. Something big has happened. Feng Yi and Feng Hua said at the same time. The voice came too quickly, so they couldn't figure out what was going on. But they were sure that it was not an invasion. However, since such a swift signal had been transmitted out, then no matter what the Qilins were doing, they would definitely rush back to their clan. Therefore, without any delay, Feng Yi and Feng Hua reached out their claws and scooped Lung Ruoxue and the rest up onto their backs, then quickly returned to their clans. When they returned to the territory, Lung Ruoxue was surprised to find that all the Qilins were present. It seemed like something big had happened, so much so that Feng Hua had forgotten to continue fighting with Uncle Long and Godfather. As soon as Lung Ruoxue jumped down from Feng Yi's back, she was immediately surrounded by a group of female Qilin. Then, Lung Ruoxue was kidnapped by the female Qilin. Of course, only Lung Ruoxue felt that she had been kidnapped. Those female Qilin thought that they were very gentle, and considering the weak bodies of humans, their actions were much gentler. Lung Ruoxue, who felt like she had been kidnapped, was brought to a gorgeous room by a group of female Qilin. The female Qilin busied themselves with Lung Ruoxue's face and body. The female Qilin, who was preparing to put on makeup for her, stretched her demonic claws towards Lung Ruoxue first. The female Qilin, who was beating up a pile of fine clothes, waited by the side. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she hurriedly called for a stop. "Wait! What are you guys doing?" Lung Ruoxue said fearfully. Could the colorful liquid in the female Qilin's hands be poison? "Calm down, Miss Lung. We have been ordered to dress you up." A female Qilin said with a kind smile. "Orders? Whose orders?" Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. What was the Qilin clan up to? Hee. Of course, it's the Grand Elder's order. The female Qilin said. Oh. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head to show that she understood. However, she then pointed at the colorful paint in front of her and asked in shock, "Are you guys using these colors to dress me up?" That, because she asked him to come? Hee. These aren't ordinary dyes. They're made from a secret recipe that our Qilin clan has been keeping for many years. Don't worry, we guarantee that we'll dress you up beautifully. The female Qilin promised. However, Lung Ruoxue really didn't dare to believe her words. This was because humans and beasts had different aesthetic standards. The beautiful that they spoke of might be like a ghost to her. Furthermore, she didn't know what the Qilin clan was trying to do. Did you have a place so big? Is there anything important for your Qilin clan? After some thought, Lung Ruoxue carefully asked. Of course there is. The female Qilin said proudly. What's the important thing? Can you tell me? Lung Ruoxue asked again. Of course not, because we don't know either. The female Qilin replied with a righteous look. Chapter 2767. May I know the goddess name? 1. You don't know, but you still say it so righteously? Lung Ruoxue looked at the proud look on the female Qilin's face and couldn't help but want to ridicule her. However, she felt that her words would be in vain. This female Qilin probably wouldn't take it seriously at all. Looking at her face, which seemed to be proud of the Qilin clan's great event, she felt that if she were to question it, she might be attacked by all these female Qilin. After some thought, she tactfully shut her mouth. In any case, these female Qilin definitely had no ill intentions toward her. However, how could she not paint her face with these colors? Just as she was about to discuss with the female Qilin, another female Qilin ran in. When she saw that Lung Ruoxue had not dressed up, she immediately said anxiously, "Why is your work efficiency so low? You're still not done?" After saying that, the female Qilin did not allow any further explanation and quickly used her claws to wipe Lung Ruoxue's face. By the time Lung Ruoxue was about to reject, she had already completed all her actions very quickly and even nodded in satisfaction. All right, not bad. This human can be considered a beauty when dressed up. Lung Ruoxue was silent. So, In the eyes of these female Qilin, she had always been an ugly monster. No wonder these female Qilin didn't take her seriously. Following that, the female Qilin removed her outer clothing and gave Lung Ruoxue the luxurious clothes that they had prepared. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue was already numbly allowing the female Qilin to touch her. Fortunately, this female Qilin's movements were very swift. She did not let Lung Ruoxue endure for too long before she announced that she had already dressed up. Lung Ruoxue heaved a huge sigh of relief. Good, she was finally free. Then, she helplessly allowed these female Qilin to criticize her. Miss Lung, you're so beautiful. And then, she's comparable to the beauties of our Qilin clan. Such praises could be heard without end, but Lung Ruoxue miraculously did not want to hear them at all. In fact, she did not even have the courage to look at her own appearance at this moment. Sob, should she be happy? Should she thank them for dressing her up? Lung Ruoxue really did not know. After that, she was escorted out of the room by the female Qilin. When she left the room and saw the vexed faces of Uncle Long and the rest, Lung Ruoxue suddenly felt better. Previously, she blamed Uncle Long and Godfather for not saving her, but now, she did not blame them at all. It was true. Seeing the constipated expressions on Uncle Long, Godfather, and the others' faces, as well as the colorful paint on their faces and the brilliant golden clothes they were wearing, Lung Ruoxue knew that they had been treated the same way. For a moment, the few people who were in the same boat want to cry. One had to know that among them, other than Uncle Long, the rest were all genuine humans. Their taste in beauty was naturally different from the beasts of the Qilin clan. However, they understood the principle of when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Hence, they could only silently endure all this. As a matter of fact, although Uncle Long was a beast, he had spent more time with humans, so his aesthetic was more like that of humans. Therefore, it could be said that he had no common language with these Qilin in terms of aesthetic. But what else could he say now? Schwer, can we discuss something? Seeing Lung Ruoxue come out, Uncle Long and the rest immediately went forward and whispered. Thanks what? Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with question marks. Let's not tell anyone about this, okay? Uncle Long and the others looked at each other and said in tacit understanding. The thing they were talking about was naturally his current appearance. I won tea. I definitely won tea. He'll get mad at whoever you say it. Lung Ruoxue immediately expressed her stand when she heard this. Looking at Uncle Long and the others' conflicted expressions, she knew that she wasn't in a good state. As expected, the moment she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue received looks of sympathy from Uncle Long and the others. Her godfather even sighed and patted her on the shoulder. His eyes seemed to be saying the words, "My condolences." Uncle Long and the others followed suit. Lung Ruoxue was so depressed that she was on the verge of tears. You can't do this. You're all dressed up. Suddenly, a surprised voice came from behind them. Everyone turned around and saw Feng Yi, who was also dressed up behind them. He seemed to be surprised, especially when he saw Lung Ruoxue. Feng Yi rushed in front of her. He trembled and sobbed. Gee goddess, hello. My name is Feng Yi. I'm a Qilin with the wind attribute. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to meet you. May I know the goddess name? Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue's face turned black. Uncle Long and the rest could not bear to look at her. They all mourned for Feng Yi's blindness in their hearts. This guy asked for it. He had just touched a sore spot. As expected, just as Uncle Long and the others thought of this, Lung Ruoxue kicked Feng Yi's lower abdomen. Feng Yi, who was not prepared for this, fell flat on his back. After he fell, Feng Yi was not ashamed but proud. He laughed and said, Goddess, is this the so-called beating is affection, scolding is love? It seems that the goddess has a good impression of me. Let's date. Dating? Date my ass. After Lung Ruoxue finished her roar, she continued to punch and kick Feng Yi, who had yet to get up. At this moment, many Qilins had gathered around. However, no one stepped forward to stop the fight. In the minds of the Qilins, a man should not fight back when he is scolded or hit. That is why they treated Feng Yi's beating as a joke. Naturally, Everyone just watched. As for Uncle Long and the others, they couldn't stop Shui at all. In their hearts, Feng Yi was the classic example of someone who would not die if he didn't seek death. Lung Ruoxue was tired from the beating and left with a cold face. As for Feng Yi, he was still in a daze with a happy expression. It wasn't until Uncle Long couldn't stand it anymore and kicked the dazed Feng Yi out of his daze that he finally woke up. At this moment, Feng Yi's face, which was originally covered in colors, immediately swelled up. He looked like a pig that had been painted. His clothes were also covered in dust, and a few of them were torn. It was a terrible sight. However, Feng Yi clearly did not realize how serious the situation on his face and body was. Instead, he pulled on Uncle Long's sleeve and asked persistently, "Uncle Long, who was that goddess? Do you know her?" "You don't know him." Uncle Long was shocked. This old man recognized him, but he didn't recognize Shui. There was something wrong with his eyes. How could I possibly know the goddess? If I knew him, I would have chased after him long ago. Feng Yi said matter-of-factly, I advise you not to have any ideas about her. Otherwise, you'll die a miserable death." Uncle Long reminded Feng Sun kindly, silently praying for him. Chapter 2768. May I know the goddess name? 2. Why? I was loyal to her at first sight. How can we just let go like this? Feng Sun said stubbornly. Upon hearing this, Uncle Long couldn't help but think to himself, this isn't the first time you've met. Forget it. You two are really not suitable for each other. After some thought, Uncle Long felt that it was better not to break Feng Yi's fantasy of goddess. Otherwise, he didn't know if this guy could take the blow. I think we're very suitable for each other. Feng Yi didn't want to give up, but after thinking about it, he glared at Uncle Long warily and said, "Uncle Long, tell me the truth. Are you also moved by my goddess? That's why you didn't let me chase after you?" Uncle Long didn't know what to say. Sigh. Just let this fantasy-brained guy discover it himself. He was too lazy to talk. However, Uncle Long's silence made Feng Yi feel that Uncle Long had tacitly agreed. Hence, he immediately raised Uncle Long's status to the level of a love rival. He even glared at Uncle Long covetously and shouted fiercely, "Uncle Long, I want to challenge you. Whoever loses will give up on pursuing the goddess." Idiot! After staring at Feng Yi for a long time, Uncle Long finally spat out these 2 words. Then, he learned from Lung Ruoxue and left with a cold face. "Come back here, coward. Don't you go." Seeing Uncle Long ignore him and walk away, the anger in Feng Yi's heart instantly surged several steps. If Master Ning hadn't stopped him in time, he would have rushed over to stop Uncle Long and fought a big battle. "Master Ning, let me go. Why are you holding me?" "Oh, I know you guys are in a group, so you're ganging up to bully me, right?" Since Uncle Long didn't stop him, Feng Yi, who was already furious, turned his gun around and fired at Master Ning. "I'm doing this for your own good," Master Ning said calmly and left. "AI, good luck." Then, the first elder and the others patted Feng Yi's shoulder to comfort him and followed Master Ning silently. Feng Yi, who was left behind, was completely depressed. You bastard. Why were those people so confused? What did they mean by that? Feng Yi racked his brains, but still couldn't figure it out. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue, who had returned to her residence, had just sat down in the garden when she saw that Uncle Long and the rest had all returned. Uncle Long's expression was especially ugly. On the contrary, Godfather and the others seemed to be extremely enduring something, and their faces were red. "Uncle Long, why are you back?" Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. "If I don't come back, I'll die of anger." Long Shuhua roared. There shouldn't be anyone in the Qilin clan that would anger you, right?" Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. "Why not? Feng Yi knows how to do it." Master Ning added, holding back his laughter. Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. Did that idiot Feng Yi have such guts? She could not believe it. Especially since they were still in the territory of the Qilin clan. Could it be that this little girl couldn't have the awareness that a guest should follow the host? Bing Yun silently ridiculed. Lung Ruoxue wasn't sure of Bing Yun's thoughts either. Otherwise, She would have told him that curiosity killed the cat, and that she would never do anything out of her control. Otherwise, she would have been killed by her so-called curiosity. When Bingyun saw that he was unable to convince Lung Ruoxue, he turned his pleading gaze towards Uncle Long and the others. In his heart, Uncle Long and the others should be easier to talk to. After all, they were all men, so it should be easier for him to talk to them. However, he was wrong this time. This was related to Lung Ruoxue. No matter if it was right or wrong, Uncle Long and the others were determined to protect Shui Heir's interests. Hence, his request for help would not receive any help at all. Seeing Uncle Long and the others ignore his request for help, and even turn their heads away as if they didn't see him, Bingyun was a bit more conflicted. Left with no choice, he could only report this to the Great Elder. Not long after, the first Elder and Huayu rushed over. Before he could speak, Lung Ruoxue spoke first. Shouldn't you be guarding your Qilin clan's patriarch at this time? How come you have the time to come and find me personally? Upon seeing the two of them, Lung Ruoxue seemed to have guessed something. However, she still needed to verify it. Chapter 2769. May I know the goddess name? 3, that's right. However, there's something more important for the Qilin clan right now. Thus, we have no choice but to leave for the time being and settle this matter first. The first elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said guiltily, this girl was indeed not the usual kind of trouble. First elder really wanted to kneel down in front of her. Of course, the prerequisite was that Lung Ruoxue would obediently follow the arrangements if she knelt down. It seems like the Qilin clan chief is nothing in your hearts. You can even temporarily put aside your worries about the clan chief while he's healing and go do something more important than him. I really feel bad for your clan leader. Lung Ruoxue sighed. Her words made the great elder of the Qilin clan and Huayu break out in cold sweat. Wu, could they not be wronged like this? In their hearts, the clan leader was the most important, but now the two Qilins were extremely depressed after being maligned by Lung Ruoxue. However, they could not speak the truth now. Hence, they could only silently swallow the dirty water that Lung Ruoxue had forcefully poured on them. This fact made them feel even more aggrieved, but what could they say? Uncle Long and the others laughed to themselves when they saw the two Qilins so depressed that they wanted to bang their heads against the wall to express their feelings. These two guys wanted to have a war of words with Shui Er, but they would lose without a doubt. They even felt some sympathy for the first elder of the Qilin clan and Huayu. Of course, they didn't want to speak up for the other party. Instead, they enjoyed watching the show. In contrast to their excitement, the Qilin elder and Huayu were silent for a long time. They did not know how to refute. The two Qilin looked at each other and then looked up at Lung Ruoxue. They looked at each other for a long time. Lung Ruoxue was still calm, but great elder Qilin and fire you couldn't calm down at all. The time was almost up, but they still hadn't dealt with Lung Ruoxue. Sob, what should they do? The two pitiful Qilins wanted to cry, but had no tears. They even tried to move Lung Ruoxue by acting pitiful, but Lung Ruoxue remained unmoved. What a cruel and cold-blooded girl. No wonder his surname was Lung. Huayu secretly sighed, but in his heart, he was full of tears, because he suddenly realized that in the few times he had come into contact with Lung Ruoxue, other than the first time when they had schemed against her and used her to escape from old grandmadam, he had never won against her in the subsequent interactions. He was so pitiful. Huayu finally discovered this fact, and the way he looked at Lung Ruoxue became more and more resentful. Unfortunately, no matter how much he lamented, Lung Ruoxue ignored him. Just like that, the two sides were in a stalemate. As time passed by, the Qilin Grand Elder was burning with anxiety. He tried to persuade Lung Ruoxue. Miss Lung, do you think you can come with us to deal with official business first? Well, definitely explain it to you later. We cannot. Who knows what your business is? What if they wanted to kill him to silence him? Who will I cry to then? Lung Ruoxue deliberately put on a stern face. These words choked the Qilin First Elder, causing him to almost pass out. I'm innocent. This was a great injustice. How could they possibly kill him to silence him? How could their Qilin race be such cruel and unscrupulous beasts. But when he saw Lung Ruoxu's disbelieving expression, he really didn't know what to say. Uncle Long and the others were laughing in their hearts. Hee, Shweta was really too evil. Was he trying to force the Qilin Great Elder to speak the truth? However, this old man seemed to be very determined. He would not be so easy to pry open. With this thought in mind, Uncle Long and the others decided to add oil to the fire. Then, Uncle Long seriously agreed. Shue'er's concerns are not without reason. It seems that we really have to be careful. After all, we have limited manpower. If the Qilin race really wants to get rid of us, I'm afraid we can't do anything. After he finished speaking, he immediately looked at the Qilin Great Elder and the Fire Guangdong tribe leader vigilantly. His serious face seemed to be saying, "Come at me if you want to fight. I'm not afraid of you guys. Can you not say that? They weren't that kind of beastie. Let me remind you, none of us are combat-type talents. So when we fight, you'd better not attack us. It's everyone's responsibility to protect special talents." The first elder said after seeing the strength of his own side. "Yes. However, please allow us to attack you." Jiang Ning added with an evil smile. "Is this the rhythm of a fight?" They didn't seem to have done anything. The first elder of the Qilin family and Huiyu were on the verge of a mental breakdown after hearing Uncle Long's words. "Can't we just have fun together? When is the war?" Seeing that the other two Qilins had been provoked quite badly, Master Ning lightly added, "Thanks, we don't intend to fight with you." After a long time, after taking a few deep breaths, Huiyu replied in a low voice. They were clearly here to invite people, but in the end, why did it become a war? How did this happen? How did this happen? The two Qilins completely broke down. There was no way to continue this conversation. If they continued, the other party might attack directly and ruin their Qilin clan's grand event. "Little girl, don't make things difficult for them. I was the one who told them to keep a secret." At this moment, a helpless voice rang in Lung Ruoxu's and the others' ears. Following the voice, two figures appeared. One of them was Shui Mo, and the other was a man. He stood helplessly beside Shui Mo and sighed while looking at them. This man was handsome and powerful. He was even a head taller than Shui Mo, who was not short to begin with. He looked intimidating in blue. An intimidating aura surrounded him. With just one look, Lung Ruoxue had already guessed the man's identity. "You are the Qilin clan chief," Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Uncle Long and the others were no stranger to the man's appearance. After all, in the firmament, any old man who had lived for a long time would recognize this famous clan leader of the Qilin clan. Hence, they were more respectful to this man than Lung Ruoxue was. "Ha ha, big brother, I told you, this little girl would definitely guess your identity." Hearing this, Shui Mo laughed, gloating. The Qilin clan leader rolled his eyes at Shui Mo before turning to Lung Ruoxue. "Little girl, you know I'm the Qilin clan leader, and you still dare to be so presumptuous? Aren't you afraid that it'll teach you a lesson in my anger?" "I'm not afraid. I've long heard that the Qilin clan leader is a great hero. I don't think a hero would be ungrateful, right?" Lung Ruoxue replied calmly. "I heard that it was the reincarnation pill that saved me," the Qilin clan leader said on purpose. "Yes, but I was the one who concocted the reincarnation pill." Lung Ruoxue didn't mind the Qilin clan leader's words at all. Instead, she continued to reply naturally. Hearing this, the Qilin clan leader fell silent and couldn't help but think to himself, "This girl is indeed as arrogant as Shui Mo said." He really didn't know who she was afraid of. AI. All right, he had lost. In reality, the reason why he was testing Lung Ruoxue was because of the bet he made with Shui Mo. Initially, Shui Mo had wanted to let the two of them meet. After all, in his heart, Lung Ruoxue was different from the rest and was the benefactor of the Qilin clan. However, he wanted to be mysterious and give Lung Ruoxue a surprise. In his eyes, most humans would fall for this trick. However, he had met Lung Ruoxue, who did not play by the rules. Hence, he did not manage to surprise her. Instead, he had caused a shock to some of his clansmen. The Qilin clan leader glanced at the aggrieved first elder and Huiyu and sighed silently. Then, he deliberately put on a stern face and said to Lung Ruashua, "Little girl, you're quite bold. Are you really not afraid of me?" Although he had already admitted that he had lost, he still wanted to take a gamble. What if this little girl was pretending? Perhaps he could even turn the tide. The stubborn Qilin clan leader had a good plan. Shui Mo had known him for so long, so he knew what he was thinking. Shui Mo had no choice but to watch silently. Do I need to be afraid of you? Although I've long heard that the Qilin clan leader is a heroic figure, I've never witnessed your most glorious period, so I naturally can't say that I'm afraid. I only know that without my help, your great hero can only regretfully sleep in this ice room. In that case, shouldn't you worship me instead? Lung Ruashua said with a smile. Her words were so arrogant that Uncle Long and the others broke out in a cold sweat. First, Elder Qilin and Huiyu turned pale with fright. Only Shui Mo remained calm. This haughty Lung Ruashua was the little girl he knew and admired. Actually, Shui Mo was very happy that Lung Ruashua would do this, because this meant that they would be able to see the true side of Lung Ruashua. Only such an arrogant Lung Ruashua had the right to be on equal footing with the Qilin clan and be respected by them. This wasn't to say that the Qilin race had a physique that deserved to be abused. It was just to say that the strong were all proud. Only the strong had the right to be arrogant. The partner that the Qilin clan needed was someone as confident and arrogant as Lung Ruashua. After all, no one would want their partner to be respectful to them. Such a partner could not be called a true partner. They were more like a subordinate. What the Qilin race wanted was a true partner who could stand side by side with them. One must know that Lung Ruakshu's previous politeness was completely unlike the little human girl he knew. At that time, he was actually a little disappointed. It was only after the stimulation of the fire Yu that Lung Ruashua showed a trace of strength, and he gradually became satisfied. A true expert had to stand upright. Shui Mo was overjoyed to see Lung Ruakshu's performance in front of his intimidating big brother. Chapter 2770. Here we come. 1. As expected of the person he had taken a fancy to, she really did not disappoint him. However, this proud big brother of his seemed to have suffered quite a big blow. After all, after so many years, this was the first time he had seen his big brother reveal a constipated expression of struggle. Such an expression was really too rare. If he wasn't afraid that big brother would be angry, he really wanted to use a memory crystal to take a picture of big brother's expression at this moment and remember it forever. As if sensing Shui Mo's thoughts, the Qilin clan leader glared at Shui Mo before sighing and saying helplessly, "You're right. I should really admire you." How could he not admire a little fellow who dared to speak to him like that? One had to know that in the entire divine realm, even Wu Yin didn't have the guts to speak to him like this. More importantly, if he had really heard what Wu Chan said, he would have attacked directly, but this little guy couldn't. AI. The Qilin clan leader was depressed and conflicted. When Lung Ruashua heard the Qilin clan leader's words, she remained extremely calm. Uncle Long and the rest looked at each other, and their eyes revealed that the Qilin clan leader had indeed been greatly provoked. Then they laughed bitterly. Perhaps only Shui would dare to speak to the Qilin clan leader in such a manner and not get beaten up. If it were anyone else, the Qilin clan leader would have beaten them up so badly that even their parents wouldn't be able to recognize them. In the following time, both sides were silent for a moment. Finally, the Qilin clan leader spoke again. "Little kid, I wanted to give you a surprise, but I didn't expect it to turn into a scare in the end. So, can you give me some face and come with me to the celebration party?" The Qilin clan leader's words were rather polite, almost to the point of begging. It was because he had underestimated Lung Ruakshu's strength previously, so he couldn't act tough now. Lung Ruashua gave him face and nodded. "Since it's the Qilin clan's head who invited us, of course we have to attend. However, can you let us remove the colorful things on our faces and bodies first? We're really not used to this." Upon hearing this, the Qilin clan leader looked deeply at Lung Ruashua. He was roaring in his heart. Of course not. How cute was Lung Ruashua when she was depressed like this? Therefore, he looked a little troubled and said, The clothes on your face and body are the tradition of our Cheelin clan. The Cheelin of our Cheelin clan will dress like this, so I'm very sorry." It was obvious that the Cheelin clan leader had rejected it out of a little revenge. Otherwise, he would have felt extremely unbalanced. When Lung Roashua heard the Cheelin clan leader's words, she could only take a deep breath and remind him, "We are humans. Don't the humans have a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do?" The Cheelin clan leader asked with a smile. As expected, he's an old fox. Lung Roashua was furious, but the other party's words weren't wrong. Hence, Lung Roashua couldn't find any fault with them. In the end, Lung Roashua gritted her teeth and decided to do whatever she wanted. What's the big deal? It's just that her dressing doesn't match human aesthetics. She endured it. Lung Roashua, who had thought of this, said calmly, "Since that's the case, let's do as the Romans do." "Thanks, Miss Lung is really considerate." After hearing this, the Cheelin clan leader complimented her and made a gesture of invitation. Lung Roashua had no choice but to brace herself and leave with him. Along the way, Lung Roashua stayed by the Cheelin clan leader's side without a word. Uncle Long and the rest followed behind them silently, wishing they could be invisible. He had no choice. The atmosphere was too depressing. In addition, when they saw the Cheelin clan leader's increasingly cheerful expression, like a cat that had stolen a fish, they really didn't know how to evaluate his naivety. Not long after, the group walked in silence all the way to the grand banquet that the Cheelin clan had meticulously prepared. The scene was arranged to be in the Cheelin clan's largest conference hall. At this moment, it had already been set up. The banquet this time was personally organized by the elders. There were many things that even the ordinary members of the Cheelin clan did not participate in. Those Cheelin and Lung Roashua were also unaware of this. The reason they did this was naturally to give their clansmen a surprise. After all, ever since their clan leader had fallen into a coma from his serious injuries, the Cheelin clan had not celebrated anything like this. Now that the clan leader had successfully recovered and woken up, this was simply an unprecedented event for the Cheelin clan. Therefore, they planned to have a big celebration. However, when they saw Lung Roashua, who seemed to be by their side, the Cheelin clan leader was a little uncertain. This girl's expression was truly ugly. How did this happen? One had to know that it was such a great honor for the clan leader to invite her personally. The Cheelin elders were naturally not aware that Lung Roashua had already fought with their clan head once at Lung Roashua's residence. At first, Lung Roashua had won, but the Cheelin clan head had used when in Rome, do as the Romans do to turn the situation around. The two of them had ended up in a draw, so naturally, they were unconvinced, which led to the current outcome. The Cheelin clan's patriarchs, who did not dare to take a deep breath, invited their clan head, Lung Roashua, and the rest to take their seats with timid hearts. Then, they sat down in turn, not knowing what to do. The atmosphere was so tense that they could die. How were they supposed to celebrate? The Cheelin elders were so worried that they were on fire. At this time, the ordinary clansman that Bing Yun was in charge of also arrived in turn. Before they could sit down, the ordinary Cheelin clansman saw a person who seemed to have only appeared in legends and was deeply engraved in their minds. The clan leader? One of the Cheelin race beings couldn't help but ask in a soft voice. Only then did the other Cheelin race beings come to a sudden realization, and they all stared at the outstanding man sitting in the center of the table with incredulity. "That's me. It's been so many years. Everyone has worked hard." The Cheelin clan leader smiled and said gently. After that, the Cheelins wailed and all of them hugged their heads and bawled loudly upon hearing this. Their sobs were simply deafening. More importantly, it was as if these Cheelins were made of water at this moment. When they cried, the tap wouldn't turn off. Especially after someone started crying, the cries that came one after another stopped no matter what. Of course, this had a lot to do with the fact that the higher-ups of the Cheelin clan didn't want to stop them. The Cheelin clan master even whispered to Lung Roashua, "Little girl, did you see that? My clansmen are so cute. She's quite cute, but her makeup is all ruined from crying. She looks like a ghost now." Lung Roashua said indifferently, When she saw that the Cheelant's makeup was similar to hers, her heart felt a little more balanced. However, the Cheelant's appearance right now was truly frightening. Therefore, she couldn't be blamed for not being compassionate. These are tears of joy. We have to let them cry to their heart's content. After all, they have held it back for so many years, they need to vent it out. The Cheelan race patriarch explained. All right then, what else could Lung Ruashua say? It had nothing to do with her. Chapter 2771. Here we come, too. By the time the Cheelan's present had finally cried enough, several hours had already passed. Even so, the Cheelan Great Elder was still able to announce the official start of the banquet, as if nothing had happened. Sighing softly, Lung Ruashua sat until her waist hurt. However, the banquet had already started, so she had to give the Cheelan race some face. After that, the Cheelan clan members who knew that Lung Ruashua was the Cheelan clan's great benefactor stepped forward one by one, wanting to toast her to express their gratitude. At first, Lung Ruashua had only drunk 1 or 2 cups. However, as she saw more and more Cheelan toasting to her, her face slowly turned black. Was this a tag team battle? He wanted to get her drunk? Wait, they'll drink on behalf of the goddess. At this moment, a loud shout was heard. Then, Lung Ruashua saw Feng Yi, whose injuries on his face had already recovered, walking towards her unsteadily. It was obvious that Feng Yi had drunk quite a bit. The drunk Feng Yi staggered towards Lung Ruashua. He held his wine glass and said, Goddess, please forgive my poor eyesight. I never thought that you'd be that fierce woman, Lung Ruashua. This really hurts my heart. After Feng Yi finished speaking, he simply leaned on Lung Ruashua's table and hugged the table leg as he wailed. He cried so heartbreakingly that anyone who heard him would be heartbroken and shed tears. Lung Ruashua's face was filled with black lines. Was this her fault? Was she the one who wanted to dress like this? As for Feng Yi, he didn't care so much at this moment. He only knew that he had fallen out of love. The goddess he had fallen in love with at first sight was actually that fiendish Lung Ruashua. Sobs. What was he going to do? When the Cheelants saw Feng Yi crying like this, they were too embarrassed to continue toasting to Lung Ruashua. They returned to their seats helplessly and sympathetically. As for the Cheelan clan leader, he couldn't help but gloat at this interlude. Little girl, could it be that you've given up on the Cheelan man of my race? Fucking around and then abandoning your sister. Lung Ruashua's heart was burning with anger, and she could not help but curse in her heart. However, she maintained a calm expression and said, Does the Cheelan clan leader think I'm that kind of person? I can only say that you can't judge a book by its cover. More importantly, I'm not familiar with you yet, so I naturally don't know if you're that kind of person. The Cheelan clan leader declined the invitation very cleanly, but he didn't hide the eager expression in his eyes. Facing such a shameless Cheelan clan leader, Lung Ruashua felt very fortunate. It was a good thing that she did not revere the Cheelan clan leader like Uncle Long and the rest. Otherwise, she would definitely be very disappointed to see this person who only wanted to see the world in chaos. In fact, Uncle Long and the others were so shocked by the lively Cheelan clan leader that they didn't know what words to use to describe him. Could this be the true face of the Cheelan clan leader? Normally, the Cheelan clan leader's serious look was all an act. Was the real Cheelan clan leader actually a boring person who loved to gossip? If that was the case, Uncle Long and the others would be disappointed. Thanks, it was a pity that no matter what they thought in their hearts, they could not say it out loud, like Lung Ruashua, who asked the lofty image of the Cheelan clan leader to be deeply rooted in their hearts. It was impossible for them to be so presumptuous with their idol in a short time. Now, seeing that Lung Ruashua and the Cheelan clan leader were suspected of using the Feng Yi incident to fight, they could not help but continue to pretend to be invisible. At this moment, everyone heard Lung Ruashua gnash her teeth and say, Then let's get to know each other better. No problem. Where do you think we should get to know each other? The Cheelan clan leader asked with a deeper meaning. Anywhere, Lung Ruashua said without a care. How's the Imperial City? The Cheelan clan leader pondered for a moment before speaking. The Imperial City? Lung Ruashua was about to agree, but she immediately realized that the Qilin clan leader was talking about the Imperial City, the territory of that bitch, Wucheng. What was this guy trying to do? One had to know that the familiar she was referring to was a good sparring session with the Qilin clan leader. After all, this was a rare opportunity. However, the other party wanted to go to the Imperial City. What was going on? I heard that you've been to the Imperial City many times, little girl. I haven't had the chance to go out for a walk in tens of thousands of years. Now that my injuries have recovered, I naturally want to go out and meet my old friends. Are you willing to come with me? The Qilin clan leader blinked his ice-blue eyes and asked with an innocent expression, "You bastard." This old Qilin was actually acting cute. Seeing the Qilin clan's patriarch acting cute, Lung Ruoxue despised him in her heart. However, she still nodded and said, "No problem. I'm quite familiar with the Imperial City. I can be your guide, since you haven't left the Qilin clan for tens of thousands of years." Then it's settled. We'll leave immediately after the banquet, the Qilin clan leader said impatiently. The Qilin clan leader deeply felt that he and Lung Ruoxue were the most compatible in terms of their attitude towards Wuhan. If it was any other clansman, he would have to be careful and consider carefully. It's really boring. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly come up with an excuse at this time. The great elder of the Qilin clan and Huayu knew that their clan master had made up his mind. They couldn't stop him, so they could only let him be. Right now, their only hope was that Lung Ruoxue was as powerful as the rumors said. Otherwise, they would not be able to rest easy for their clan leader. After all, their clan leader had just recovered. Then, the banquet continued. The Qilin clan leader, who had come to an agreement with Lung Ruoxue, did not continue to make things difficult for her. Instead, he acted as if he was on friendly terms with Lung Ruoxue. Of course, Lung Ruoxue also gave him a lot of face. The world in front of him could be said to be peaceful. The banquet to celebrate the Qilin clan leader's awakening lasted for 3 days. Every Qilin was drunk and slept on the ground. Lung Ruoxue, on the other hand, could no longer withstand the high pressure of her physical strength and had returned to her room to rest early. The moment the banquet ended, while most of the Qilin clan's members were still drunk, the Qilin clan's patriarch had already come knocking on their door. He had a look of urgency on his face as he wanted to set off with Lung Ruoxue immediately. When Lung Ruoxue heard the other party's request, she fell silent for a moment before saying, "Uncle Long and the others are still drunk. I can't just leave them here, can I? Why can't I? If they stay here, the Qilin clan will treat them as honored guests, so don't worry," the Qilin clan leader said. "But if I leave like this, Uncle Long and the others will be angry when they wake up." This was what Lung Ruoxue was most hesitant about. After she finished speaking, she looked at the Qilin clan leader with a hint of hidden bitterness. She thought to herself, "It's all your Qilin clan's fault for preparing this banquet and making Uncle Long and the others drunk." In fact, the so-called feast of the Qilin clan was just a feast for the Qilin. Uncle Long and the others were drinking with a lot of Qilin, so they were all drunk. Now that Uncle Long and the others were still unconscious, if she acted on her own, Uncle Long and the others would definitely attack her. Therefore, she wasn't stupid enough to leave just like that. Chapter 2772. Here we come. 3. With me here, they won't be angry, the Qilin clan leader promised. He knew that his identity was very useful to the people around Lung Ruoxue, who knew that when Lung Ruoxue heard these words, she would look at the Qilin clan leader with extreme disdain. "What? You want to use your fists to suppress me? I'm telling you, I won't allow you to bully my people. This girl, this detestable girl." She really felt uncomfortable if she didn't anger him for a day. However, the Qilin clan leader, who had been ruthlessly choked by Lung Ruoxue, couldn't say anything to refute her. That was because he had indeed thought that way. After taking a few deep breaths, the Qilin clan leader promised, "I won't bully them, okay? That's more like it. Wait for me." Lung Ruoxue nodded her head in satisfaction. Then, after leaving behind a sentence that left the Qilin clan leader baffled, she turned around and left. The Qilin clan leader stood dumbly on the spot until Lung Ruoxue appeared in front of him again and said, "All right, we can set off now." I thought you couldn't leave? The Chelan clan leader was befuddled by Lung Ruakshu's repeated actions. This little girl was a little too hard to control, wasn't she? No wonder it was such a headache. I brought Uncle Long and the others. Lung Ruashua saw through the Chelan clan leader's thoughts and laughed evilly. Hearing this, the Chelan clan leader was depressed. So this little girl had been toying with him all along? He could have brought those people with him, but he lied to him that he couldn't leave them here. How despicable. The Chelan clan leader, who had regained his senses, could only glare at Lung Ruashua in anger, but he could not say a word. Don't glare at me, Lung Ruashua consoled. If it wasn't for the fact that you're in such a hurry and that you performed well, I wouldn't have brought along the drunk ones. In reality, Lung Ruashua didn't use the hangover pill to wake them up because she wanted to teach Uncle Long and the others a lesson. She wanted to see if they would still dare to drink without restraint like this in the future. However, she couldn't let them stay here. Otherwise, Uncle Long and the others would definitely go into a riot when they woke up. In addition, she also wanted to see the anxious look on the face of the hero in the eyes of others, so she didn't directly say that she could take Uncle Long and the others with her. Now that her bad taste had been fulfilled, she could naturally leave. The Chelan clan leader could only feel helpless when he saw how mischievous Lung Ruashua was. Are you also curious as to why I'm in such a hurry? He asked after a sigh. Yes. Lung Ruashua nodded her head without any reservations. AI, it's fine to tell you, but my only child fell into the hands of Wu Yi, so I want to go to U City to see if I can provoke her into telling me some clues. The Chelan clan leader told him the truth. Hearing such an answer, Lung Ruashua felt very helpless. She must have had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of stimulating rhyme, right? After some thought, Lung Ruashua couldn't help but remind him, aren't you afraid that the bitch will be too shocked to say anything after seeing the two of us appear together? She won tea. I know her better than you. When she sees us together, she will only proudly tell me how she treated my child. That's why I have to find out the whereabouts of my unborn child from her. I have to know whether he's alive or dead. The Chelan clan leader said with determination. After that, he turned to Lung Ruashua and said seriously, Little girl, I still haven't thanked you properly. From now on, you are the most important friend of our Chelan clan. Our Chelan clan will definitely follow your lead, especially on the matter of the fog ice. Our Chelan clan will support you unconditionally. The Chelan clan leader's words should have been said when he first met Lung Ruashua. However, at that time, the two of them were clearly at loggerheads with each other, so he did not say it. Now was a good time to express his feelings. When Lung Ruashua heard this, she was obviously a little surprised. In fact, she had tried her best to refine the reincarnation pill not only because she was influenced by Uncle Long and the others, but also because she wanted to befriend the Chelan tribe. However, she didn't expect that the Chelan tribe leader would follow her lead. Although he didn't recognize her as his master, she believed that the Chelan tribe leader was a man of his word. Since he had said so, he wouldn't break his promise. It also made her little dissatisfaction from before disappear successfully. Chelan clan leader, we're allies from now on. Lung Ruashua said seriously. All right. The Chelan clan leader was very happy to hear that Lung Ruashua was an ally. This meant that Lung Ruashua wasn't someone who would try to get something in return. This also proved that he had not chosen the wrong person. As expected of Master Yes disciple, she was extraordinary. The two of them had successfully come to an agreement. Naturally, Lung Ruashua had nothing to say. After a while, the two of them quietly left the Chelan clan. Thanks by the time the elders of the Chelan clan realized that their clan leader had disappeared, the two of them had already left. When the crying first elder Chelan and Hoyu reported to Shui Mo pitifully that the clan leader had abandoned them, Shui Mo was speechless. Is it that serious? Didn't he just go to Imperial City? Look at these two guys in front of me. It's like the end of the world. In fact, Shui Mo could understand why his brother was so anxious. After all, his brother had been asleep for so long, and it was only natural for him to want to know about his unborn nephew. However, the two guys in front of him were so cautious that he couldn't help but complain. Lung Roashue had managed to escape unscathed from the imperial city several times, and even Wu Xian was unable to do anything to her. Her big brother was a reverent god after all. Although his strength had deteriorated slightly compared to his peak, it shouldn't be a problem for him to go to the imperial city, right? Moreover, during the celebration of Demon City's founding, Lung Roashue had revealed that Wu Xian had been injured. Even though they didn't know how Wu Xian's recovery was, with Lung Roashue's company, Wu Xian would probably be helpless against the two of them. Therefore, he was not worried at all. After dealing with the elder and Huiyu, Shui Mo continued to study his formation. The great elder of the Qilin clan and Huiyu, who had retreated without any success, were naturally not at ease with the chief going to the imperial city like this. The two of them discussed in private and finally decided to send some clansmen to help the chief. Of course, this was also the original plan of the two. It was just that their family patriarch's sneaky escape had completely destroyed their previous deployment, causing the two to be anxious like a pot of porridge. At the same time, with the help of the Qilin clan leader's teleportation, Lung Roashue and the Qilin clan leader arrived outside the imperial city's gate in less than 3 days. As he stood outside the imperial city, the Qilin clan leader took out the divine power replenishing pills that Lung Roashue had given him and ate them in large amounts. Lung Roashue's beautiful eyes were smiling as she watched everything that was happening outside the imperial city. The gate was new, and there were almost twice as many guards at the gate. Oh, not bad, this is fun. After the Qilin clan's leader was done replenishing his divine power, he saw Lung Roashue smiling at the city gate. He asked curiously, "Is there anything fun to do? Why are you all smiling so wretchedly? What's with your eyes? What did I smile wretchedly?" Lung Roashue was thoroughly hurt by the word vulgar. She was a woman. How could it be described as wretched? This would affect her image. All right, why are you smiling so slyly? What did you do? The Qilin clan leader rephrased his words, but it still made Lung Roashue depressed. "I didn't do anything, it was Azure." Lung Roashue retorted angrily. She then pointed at the city gate for the Qilin clan leader to take a look. "See this? The city gate is new. No wonder I felt that it was different from what I remembered," the Qilin clan leader said in realization. Thinking of Tsang, even the powerful Qilin clan leader couldn't help but shiver. The guy didn't even give Sir Yu face. He didn't expect that he would take a fancy to Lung Roashue. A miracle! What a miracle! After sighing, the Qilin clan leader pulled on Lung Roashue's arm and teleported to the city gate. Faced with the familiar faces so close to them, the faces of the guards outside the imperial city all turned pale, and their small bodies trembled like leaves in the wind. For a moment, they seemed to be frozen in place, so afraid that they couldn't speak. "We're coming." Seeing the guards' reaction, Lung Roashue had no choice but to speak first. "What are you doing here?" After a long time, the captain of the guards finally reacted and asked with a trembling voice. He wanted to cry, but had no tears in his heart. "Woo-woo, why is this demon here again?" But this time, that terrifying cat didn't seem to be following her, but the handsome man beside her didn't seem to be someone to be trifled with. "I'm here for a walk," Lung Roashue replied in an infuriating manner. On the other hand, the Qilin clan leader was smart enough not to say a word. However, he was thinking to himself, "It seems like this last Lung Roashue has already become familiar with these guards to a certain extent. It's to the extent that when these guards see her, it's like they've seen a ghost." Previously, he had thought that these guards were afraid of him. Later on, he thought about it. He hadn't been in the divine world for tens of thousands of years. How could these little fellows in front of him still remember who he was? Therefore, he didn't think too highly of himself. Now, it seemed that his thinking was indeed correct. Otherwise, it would be a big embarrassment. However, he had never expected that Lung Roashue would be so intimidating in front of the imperial city's guards. Look at these guards, who were trembling like newborn chicks. Who would have thought that they were once the local tyrants of the imperial city? Now, the local tyrant had clearly turned into an earthworm. How could they still be imposing in this state? With this thought in mind, the Qilin clan leader's gaze towards the guards became even more disdainful. As for the guards, after hearing Lung Ruoxu's words, they silently ridiculed her for a long time. Chapter 2773. Ice Spirit, you're still alive, one. You want to take a walk? What was there to loiter around here? It's more like they're here to make trouble. More importantly, every time Lung Ruoxue came, nothing good would come out of it. Even if they weren't on full alert, they were almost there. These guards have been on high alert ever since the city gate was attacked by unknown forces. Hence, they were extremely unwilling to see Lung Ruoxue appear at this moment. This was especially so after the city-building celebration that caused Imperial City and Divine Master to become the hot topic of everyone in the Divine Realm. After that, they disliked Lung Ruoxue even more. But if they did not like her, would Lung Ruoxue not come? As they looked at the smiling Lung Ruoxue, they knew that it was impossible. Lung Ruoxue was kind enough to give them enough time to be surprised. She then smiled and said, I haven't seen you for so long, and am starting to miss you. How are you doing, you killripple bitch? He didn't die, did he? How were they supposed to answer? By the way, your new city gate is pretty good. I just don't know if it's firm or not. If there's a chance, they'll check it for you. How about it? Seeing that the guards were silent, Lung Ruoxue continued, What chance are we waiting for? I think it's better to do it today than today. There's no need for a little girl like you to do it. Why don't you let me try? Hearing Lung Ruoxu's words, the Qilin clan leader suppressed his laughter and cooperated. All right then. Lung Ruoxu blinked her watery eyes and nodded unwillingly. Don't. When the guards heard the two of them singing in harmony, they were so depressed that they almost cried. Can you not be like this? This was blatant bullying. Last time, this woman had brought a cat, which scared them so much that they couldn't eat and sleep well for several days. Now, she had brought a man with obvious violent tendencies. Was she trying to kill them? Woo! They watched helplessly as the violent man rolled up his sleeves and prepared to fight. The guards were so scared that they didn't know how to react. They could only hold back tears in their eyes and stand stiffly in place. They had been scared silly. The next second, before they could react, the Qilin clan leader had already made his move. A ball of icy blue divine power flew to the sky above the Imperial City with monstrous momentum. Then, the icy blue ball of light suddenly expanded several times in the air and enveloped the entire Imperial City. Then there was a loud bang. The sound of the explosion alarmed everyone in the Imperial City. Almost at the same time, everyone who lived in the Imperial City ran from their rooms to the place where the sound of the explosion was the loudest, which was the city gate. With one look, everyone who had come to watch was dumbfounded. At the same time, their hearts were filled with regret. Fuck! Who did they see? Wasn't this Lung Ruoxue? Why was this woman in U City again? What was this? Smash the place? Thanks everyone was speechless as they looked at the newly built city walls that had now been reduced to ruins. They did not know how to react. At this time, the three reverent god-level experts in the Imperial City had also arrived at the city gate. They glanced at the city wall, then at Lung Ruoxue and the tall, handsome man beside her. The three of them fell silent. Who was this man? Based on their understanding of the people by Lung Ruoxu's side, since when did that girl have such an unfathomable man by her side? The three of them were filled with doubt, especially Xianyi. He thought he was the most familiar with Lung Ruoxue and the others, but he had never heard of the man beside her. Hence, the curiosity in his heart was like a kitten scratching. It was extremely itchy. Miss Lung, since you're here, why don't you take the normal route? It doesn't seem too good to smash our city walls, right? After a light cough, Xianyi pretended to be serious. In his heart, he couldn't help but think, what a prodigal. The Imperial City will be yours in the future. If you smash the city walls, you'll still have to use the city's money to repair it. We're taking the normal route. Lung Ruoxue replied with a faint smile. She continued, last time, we gave Imperial City face, so we didn't go through the normal way and applied to enter the city instead. Unfortunately, you took too long to discuss it, so I decided to follow my method this time. It's faster this way. All right. Xianyi knew that he couldn't win an argument against this girl. This girl couldn't understand his painstaking efforts. Woo! It was really painful not to be understood. Xian-Yi was helpless against Lung Ruoxue, but he could tell that she had to enter the city no matter what. He turned around and discussed with the other two. In the end, the three of them unanimously decided to let her enter the city. More importantly, he had no choice but to let go. Of course, this was said by Xian-Yi as the representative. When Lung Ruoxue received the notification that the other party had agreed to let them through, she was naturally happy. Then, she brought the Qilin clan leader over the ruins of the city wall and walked into the imperial city. Fuck! He could enter the city like this? When they saw Lung Ruoxue and a strange man commit such an evil act, not only did they not receive any punishment, they were even allowed to enter the imperial city. Immediately, there were people who felt that it was unfair. Xian-Yi, who knew what they were thinking, glanced at the crowd indifferently and sneered. If you guys have Lung Ruoxue's abilities, we won't pursue your actions. If you don't have the ability, then you'd better behave yourself and hide your tails. Don't let me find out that you guys have any thoughts that you shouldn't have. The strong were respected. This was the supreme rule at any time. Although Xian-Yi's words sounded like he was bullying the weak and fearing the strong, at this moment, no one dared to refute him. This was because they really did not have Lung Ruoxue's abilities. If they insisted on receiving the same treatment as Lung Ruoxue, they would probably be killed on the spot by the guards of the Divine Master's estate who were angry and aggrieved, but had no way to vent their anger. Cowering, the tactful people immediately scattered like birds. Seeing that most of the people had left, Xian-Yi and the other two gathered together to discuss their next move. The three of them were very interested in Lung Ruoxue's purpose in coming to the Imperial City. Last time, she had to go to the headquarters of the Missions Association. What about this time? Their curiosity did not last long before they heard a flustered guard come to report. Lung Ruoxue and an unfamiliar man have appeared outside the Divine Master's residence. When Xian-Yi and the other two heard this, they looked at each other. Instantly, no one had an idea. Lung Ruoxue had gone to the Divine Master's residence. Should they return? If they didn't go back, they were afraid that some people would be dissatisfied. But if they went back, what could they do? Stop Lung Ruoxue? Naturally, Xian-Yi didn't have such thoughts. As for the other two reverend gods, ever since they found out that Lung Ruoxue was Master Yes' disciple, they basically didn't have any enmity towards her. Therefore, the two of them adopted an attitude of turning a blind eye to many things. As a result, the relationship between the three of them had become unprecedentedly harmonious. However, from the current situation, it was obviously impossible to pretend that he didn't know about this. Sighing lightly, the three of them helplessly decided to go back and see what was going on. Chapter 2774. Ice Spirit, you're still alive? 2. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue, who was standing at the entrance of the Divine Master's estate, was patiently listening to the Qilin clan leader's comments about the Divine Master's estate's entrance and the surrounding walls. From the Qilin clan leader's words, Lung Ruoxue could tell that he was very unhappy with the new walls of the God Lord's estate. After a long while, the Qilin clan leader said to Lung Ruoxue, "Girl, step back. I'm going to smash this wall. Oof. You're a disgrace to the God Lord's estate." When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she obediently took a large step back. However, she couldn't help but complain in her heart. "Old man, are you addicted to smashing other people's walls?" Coincidentally, Xian-Yi and the other two who had just arrived also heard this, and their expressions changed drastically. Xian-Yi was so frightened that he quickly pulled on Lung Ruoxue's arm, wanting her to stop the man from killing her. However, Lung Ruoxue could only smile apologetically and say, "Your Excellency Xian-Yi, I can't stop him. I advise you not to stop him, in case you get into trouble." When Xian-Yi heard this, he was stunned. Then, he asked via voice transmission, "Little girl, who is that person? How come I've never seen him before?" Him. It was the recently awakened Qilin clan leader who had a deep hatred for that ripple of mist bitch. He was currently suppressing his anger and wanted to cause trouble here. Therefore, It's best that none of you stop him. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what this ferocious Qilin, who has just been released from the prison, will do. Lung Roashua explained with an evil smile. He's the Qilin clan chief? That legendary. When Xianyi heard this, he was so shocked that his face turned pale. This girl's side was indeed filled with dangerous people. Whoa, this little girl is really too bold. She actually carried a time bomb with her. As a spy, Xianyi definitely knew more than ordinary people. Therefore, he was very clear about the enmity between the Qilin clan leader and Wu Yan. Now that the two enemies had met, they were extremely envious. This was indeed not something he could stop. Xianyi, who had figured everything out quickly, also retreated with an extremely ugly expression. When Xia Yi and Huang Wei saw this, although they did not understand, they also chose to advance and retreat together. After the three of them retreated to the same line, the other two couldn't help but pull on Xianyi's sleeves and whispered, "Are we just going to stand by and watch?" If the Divine Master knew about this, he would be furious. It's not that we don't care, but we can't. Xianyi turned his head and said with a bitter smile, "What?" Their faces were filled with question marks. Looking at Lung Ruoxua, Xianyi didn't intend to hide it from these two. More importantly, he couldn't hide it from them. Therefore, he was happy to do them a favor and said in a low voice, "This person's identity isn't simple. We can't afford to offend him. Your Excellency Xianyi, don't keep us in suspense." Xia Yi said somewhat impatiently. "He is the Qilin clan chief," Xianyi said in a low voice. "The Qilin clan chief? Not the one you replaced?" Huang Wei also asked. "No," Xianyi nodded with certainty. They really couldn't afford to offend him. Xia Yi and Huang Wei deeply agreed with Xianyi's judgment. This time, the two of them were not so repulsed by watching from the sidelines. One must know that Reverent God level was different from Reverent God level. Among Reverent God level cultivators, there were also ordinary Reverent God level cultivators and top-notch Reverent God level cultivators. If Reverent God level cultivators could only be considered as middle to high-level Reverent God level cultivators, then this man could definitely be considered as a top-notch Reverent God level cultivator. In addition, the other party's original form was the most powerful beastie, and they were even less of a match. Thanks then, they could only watch the Qilin clan leader throw out a ball of icy blue divine power and smash the walls of the God Lord's estate in the same way. The moment the explosion sounded, the three of them turned their heads at the same time. The weaker guard were knocked unconscious by the aftermath of the explosion. After the explosion, Xianyi gave the other two a look, and the three of them attacked the Qilin clan leader at the same time. The Qilin clan leader was surprised when he felt the strong wind brought by the three people. Then, he took the blow excitedly. The Qilin clan leader, who hadn't fought for a long time, was extremely excited. Xianyi and the other two, who were fighting with the Qilin clan leader, smiled bitterly. The Qilin clan leader was indeed powerful. Facing the three of them, he could actually still be at ease. This really made people sigh. Comparing humans to beasts was really infuriating. Originally, they had only wanted to put on an act, but faced with the serious and fierce counterattack of the Qilin clan leader, the three of them had no choice but to face it seriously. Otherwise, they would probably be embarrassed today. The three people who didn't want to lose face immediately became serious. As the Qilin clan leader had just woken up, it was obvious that his strength had not recovered to its peak. As a result, he did not seem to be struggling at first, but after a long time, his attacks obviously weakened. However, Xianyi and the other two could not gain any advantage. In the end, Xianyi, who did not want to fight anymore, directly left the battle circle, panting heavily. After that, Xia Yi and Huang Wei also left. "Senior strength is indeed extraordinary," Xianyi said respectfully. "Ha, he was old. I'm already panting to deal with you three little fellows." The Qilin clan leader laughed. He was getting old. The three of them were speechless because the other party was indeed older than them. However, the thing that the people of the divine realm cared the least about was age. After all, age was nothing to them. Therefore, when the Chilean clan leader said that he was old, it obviously made them feel a little confused. How audacious! Who dares to cause trouble in the Divine Master's estate? At this moment, an angry voice was heard. Then, a group of men in black jumped out of the Divine Master's residence. When Xian Yi saw the other party's stance, he couldn't help but scoff in his heart. Belated effort. What were you doing earlier? They only thought of coming out after smashing the walls. He didn't believe that the men in black had just received the news. He had probably heard that the three of them were fighting with the Chilean clan leader and felt that there were benefits to be gained. So he had rushed over to take advantage of them. Unfortunately, it was not that easy to take advantage of them. Moreover, it would not be easy for them to defeat the Chilean clan leader. The leader of the men in black did not expect to see Xian Yi's group of three and an unfamiliar man standing face to face and fighting without reporting to the guards. He was clearly disappointed. What was going on? Xuani, why are you all standing there like idiots? Hurry up and capture the people who are causing trouble in the God Lord's estate. The leader of the men in black said angrily, if we were able to catch them, would we have waited for you guys to come and pick up the scraps? Xian Yi sneered when he heard this. At this moment, Huang Wei and Xia Yi also deeply felt that it was a wise choice for them to withdraw from the battle in time. Otherwise, when they saw the faces of the men in black, they might have vomited blood. The leader of the men in black was naturally furious when he heard Xian Yi's words. He roared, Xian Yi, are you trying to betray the Divine Master? Betray the Divine Lord? It was really a big hat. You're making things difficult for us, just like that? If we really wanted to betray the Divine Master, do you think we would still be standing here in such a sorry state? Xian Yi said calmly. Chapter 2775. Ice Spirit, you're still alive? 3. At this moment, their clothes were a little tattered from the battle with the Chilean clan leader. In addition, during the battle just now, there were many guards and people in the city who had watched, so he was not afraid of being wronged by the man in black. More importantly, besides the three of them, there was probably no other supreme god willing to serve her at this time. Therefore, no matter what, Wu Yin would not convict them of their crimes just based on a few words from the leader of the men in black. At the moment, Wu Yin would not do things like throwing herself into confusion and cutting off her own arm. It was because of this certainty that Xian Yi dared not to be afraid of the man in black's threat. When a man in black saw that he could not do anything to Xian Yi, he was instantly furious. However, he couldn't find an excuse to punish Xian Yi and the other two for the time being, so he could only record this account for the time being. Then, he turned his fierce gaze to the Chilean clan leader and asked arrogantly, Where did you come from, scum? How dare you cause trouble in the Divine Lord's manor? Scum? Little fellow, you're quite bold. How dare you say that about me? Umph. To tell you the truth, if this wasn't the Divine Master's residence, I wouldn't have come. Hurry up and get Ripple Mist out. Tell her that an old friend is here. The Chilean clan leader said angrily. After living for so long, this was the first time he had heard someone call him scum. However, he couldn't be bothered to argue with a small fry and wanted them to release the miasma. But it was clear that the leader of the men in black did not take the Chilean clan leader's words seriously. He said disdainfully, Do you have the right to see our master? Also, please address our master as God Lord Fogripple. Otherwise, if I hear you call out his name again, he'll definitely exterminate you. Kill me? Come now. He'll wait for you to exterminate me. The Chilean clan leader laughed instead of getting angry. This was really a big forest with all kinds of birds. He had not appeared in the divine realm for so long, and even a puny divine emperor dared to challenge his authority. Yes, they'll also wait for you to destroy me. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue also interjected with a smile. The moment he saw Lung Ruoxue, the leader's expression changed drastically. It was as if he had seen a ghost. His body started to tremble, and the hand he was pointing at Lung Ruoxue with was trembling nonstop. He could not even complete a sentence. Why didn't he hear that Lung Ruoxue was here too? Furthermore, he had been so focused on the unfamiliar man that he did not notice Lung Ruoxue, who was standing a distance away. Naturally, he was shocked. When the Chilean clan leader saw this, he couldn't help but glare at Lung Ruoxue with resentment. His eyes were red as though they were saying, "Little girl, you have stolen my limelight." These men in black were not afraid when they saw him. But when they saw Lung Ruoxue, they were so frightened. How could he accept this? The Chilean clan leader was rather worried. But Lung Ruoxue continued to provoke the leader of the men in black. "Why aren't you doing anything? I've been waiting for so long that the flowers have wilted. Hurry up and do it." Lung Ruoxue threatened with her last 3 words. The leader of the men in black turned pale. He pointed at Lung Ruoxue for a long time before finally uttering, "You." He stuttered for a long time, but he still could not say a complete sentence. In the end, Lung Ruoxue was so anxious that she grabbed the leader's collar and continued to shout, "What about me? I told you to hurry up and exterminate us. Did you just ignore me?" The leader of the men in black trembled uncontrollably. When the rest of the men in black saw this, they quickly retreated. It was as if they were afraid that if they were a step slower, they would be killed by Lung Ruoxue. The Chilean clan leader was helpless. What the hell is this? He was a divine reverend, but they didn't care about it. Instead, a divine emperor-level little girl scared them so much that their faces turned pale, and they wanted to pretend that they had never appeared. This fact made the Chilean clan leader feel very unbalanced. Following that, he snatched the leader of the men in black from Lung Ruoxue's hands and smiled at her. "Girl, you're a woman. Don't be so rough. It's better for me to do this physical work." With that, he raised his hand and gave the leader a slap. The leader of the men in black, who had previously scared Lung Ruoxue silly, fainted with a single slap. He had not been prepared for the Chilean clan leader to make a move. Lung Ruoxue looked at the leader of the men in black in disdain, then said to Xian Yi and the other 2 in a rather serious tone, "Did you see that? Some people who like to be cheap should be treated like this. Your methods are too gentle, so he won't be afraid. It has to be like us. Some people, you just need a beating, so you have to use violence." Upon hearing this, Xian Yi and the other 2 became even more silent. They felt depressed, because Lung Ruoxue was right. AI, look at his strength. They couldn't even compare to him when they rode on the dragon. All of a sudden, the 3 of them felt a strong sense of inferiority. At the same time, he was envious of her for living such a carefree life. In fact, who wouldn't want that? But without absolute strength and backing, who would dare? In the entire God world, other than Lung Ruoxue, who else could have such a strong backing and power? Lung Ruoxue's carefreeness was truly enviable. Almost everyone had the same realization at this moment. Thanks, however, Lung Ruoxue couldn't care less about the envy, jealousy, and hatred in other people's hearts. She nudged the depressed Chilean clan leader and asked, "Senior, do you have a way to make the ripple mist bitch appear? You didn't tea?" "What?" The Chilean clan leader's eyes widened in shock as he asked in disbelief. "So this girl also had things she couldn't do?" "I do have some, but didn't you just say that you should be the one doing the physical work? That's why I'm asking if you have any ideas. If you don't have any, then just do as I say." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Didn't you say that the ripple mist bitch should be healing? Then I'm afraid that ordinary methods won't be able to provoke her." The Chilean clan leader said, after some thought, "Like this? Then let's do it according to my plan." Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. "Tell me about it." The Chilean clan head was very curious. Xian Yi and the other 2 who were watching from the side were also curious. They couldn't help but stretch out their necks and perked up their ears to listen, afraid that they would miss a word. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue didn't tell them what method she had. Instead, she mysteriously handed a piece of paper to the Chilean clan head. The Chilean clan leader was a little disheveled as he held the long and thin piece of paper. What was the meaning of this? Let him read it? Was this girl not afraid that he would be illiterate? Ugh, he really didn't recognize some of the words on it. The Chilean clan leader's face darkened as he sent a voice transmission gloomily. "Little girl, you want to see me embarrass myself, don't you? The words on it are too hard to recognize." The Chilean clan leader spoke in a reserved manner, but Lung Ruoxue understood what he meant the moment she heard it. "All right, She had really forgotten that most of the beasts were illiterate. It seemed that she could only do this kind of physical work herself. After taking the paper back from the Chelan clan leader, Lung Ruashua smiled and said, "I just wanted to show you my method. Let my beastie handle this." Earlier on, Baby had already sent her a voice transmission, telling her to let him handle this matter. Lung Ruashua saw the troubled expression on the Chelan clan leader's face and naturally agreed. As expected, the Chelan clan leader's complexion improved upon hearing her words. Soon after, the little purple fox that had been released took the paper from its adorable master's hands and jumped onto Lung Ruakshu's shoulder. It then cleared its throat and poured its divine power into it before reading out loud. "Wooly, you're a despicable, shameless, and ungrateful wretch. No one of you is still married. No man will like an ugly monster like you. Even male beasts won't want you." The letter was recited for a long time. The voice was infused with the divine power of the treasure. Therefore, the voice traveled for a long time. It was not possible to say that the entire divine realm had received this message, but at least the various cities around the imperial city had heard it. Such provocative content quickly spread throughout the divine realm. The people in the imperial city who had witnessed the incident were so scared that their faces turned pale when they heard someone cursing the divine master in front of the divine master's estate. After they came back to their senses, they scattered. No one dared to stay here for a moment longer. Xian, Yi, and the other two, who had to stay behind, had a strange expression on their faces. Why did the tone of the voice sound so familiar? That Totoro? That's right. That was the Totoro's tone. It had to be said that Xian, Yi, and the other two were right. Song was the one who told Lung Ruashua this, because before coming here, Lung Ruashua had sent a voice transmission to Azure, telling him that she was accompanying the Chelan clan leader to the Divine Lord's residence. Azure had told her a bunch of things, and she had asked Qing Ju to form a letter. This was how the current scene had come about. When the Chelan clan leader heard these shocking words, he looked at Lung Ruashua in a different light. He couldn't help but think to himself, "This girl really has a poisonous tongue. She's just rubbing salt into my wounds." It must be known that in their era, there were few people or beasts who didn't know about the little thoughts that Rhyme had for Suryu. In addition, Rhyme couldn't get what she wanted, and her love turned into hatred in a moment of anger. Of course, this was all in the past, but even if these things had happened a long time ago, it was likely that no one would dare to publicly announce this matter to the world. Everyone usually had a tacit understanding. Lung Ruashua, who had seen through the Chelan clan leader's thoughts, smiled awkwardly and explained, "This is all Azure's will." He said that when the Rhyme Ice hears this, even if it's on its last breath, it will be so angry that it will jump up from the ground. Indeed, the moment Lung Ruakshu's words left her mouth, the crowd heard a furious roar. "How audacious! I'm going to kill you." It only took a few seconds for the red figure to turn from illusory to solid. As he spoke, a boundless pressure was directed at the treasure. Lung Ruashua saw this and quickly blocked it. The Chelan clan leader also moved at the same time, protecting Lung Ruashua and the little purple fox. At the same time, an icy blue arrow of light was shot straight towards the direction of Wu Jing. Wu Wan sensed the danger and dodged it quickly. After she steadied herself, her beautiful eyes were fixed on the Chelan clan leader. "Ice Spirit, you're still alive?" Wu Wan asked in surprise after seeing the man who attacked her. Chapter 2776. As long as he's alive. 1. Wu Yin was surprised to see the Ice Spirit. She thought that even if the Ice Spirit was not dead, it would not be alive and kicking in front of her. What was going on? As her beautiful eyes shifted to the side, Lung Ruashua just happened to enter her line of sight. Instantly, her eyes burst out with a glint of extreme hatred. Lung Ruashua, damn it, why is this bitch here? And it was with Ice Spirit? If she was surprised to see only Ice Spirit, then when she saw Lung Ruashua, the hatred in her heart was completely ignited. "Lung Ruashua, you still dare to come?" Without giving the Chelan clan leader Bang Po a chance to speak, Wu Wan gritted her teeth and shouted at Lung Ruoxue. Why wouldn't I dare to come? Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly and said disapprovingly, "Oomph. It looks like you're here to die. What? Sun wasn't with you today, so you found Ice Spirit to back you up." Wu Jing was rather dissatisfied with the fact that Lung Ruoxue always had these fellows who she hated to the core protecting her. Damn it. When would Lung Ruoxue be able to come to her death alone? Yup. Sung is busy building a relationship with the blood lotus flower that you've been coveting for a long time. Therefore, I can only find the Qilin clan's patriarch as my backer. Why? Do you feel envious, jealous, and hateful? Lung Ruoxue laughed smugly, and her words were filled with provocation. She was so angry that all the blood in Wu Ling's body started to rush to the top of her head. Her originally pale and beautiful little face was now flushed red because of her anger. Ice Soul, who was completely ignored by the side, felt extremely depressed when she saw Lung Ruoxue and Wu Xian having a verbal fight. AI, this girl had stolen his limelight again. Originally, Wu Xian's attention was all on him, who knew that the moment she saw Lung Ruoxue, she would completely ignore him, causing him to not even have a chance to speak. This was really too much. Ice Spirit was furious. The consequences would be severe. Following that, he gently tugged at Lung Ruoxue's arm and whispered, "Girl, you've stolen my limelight again. You've gone too far. You should at least give me a chance to speak, right?" Ice Spirit's words were full of resentment, and there were tears in her eyes. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, black lines appeared on her forehead. She said helplessly, "All right, I'll shut my mouth, okay? After you're done with the mist bitch, we'll settle our own." What debt do we have to settle? After hearing Lung Ruoxue's last sentence, Ice Soul asked dejectedly. He had never offended Lung Ruoxue. Why did this little girl want to settle the score with him? I actually only knew your name from the enemy. Lung Ruoxue gritted her teeth. Hee. A name is just a code name. We beastie don't care about names the most, so you don't have to care about it. Besides, under normal circumstances, only my enemies would directly call me by my name. Ice Spirit said awkwardly. In reality, it wasn't that he didn't want to tell Lung Ruoxue his name, but that he had forgotten. After all, to someone who had been in a deep sleep for tens of thousands of years, a name and such were nothing. If it wasn't for the fact that Fog had called out the name Ice Spirit, he would have forgotten that he had a name. Is that so? Lung Ruoxue was doubtful. She felt that it was not that Bing Pu did not care about the name, but that he had forgotten it. Her thoughts were indeed true. However, now was not the time to care about the name. Lung Ruoxue only glanced at the furious Wu Chun and pretended to be invisible, giving the right to speak to Ice Spirit. Ice Spirit gave Lung Ruoxue a satisfied look before turning to Ripple Mist. "Ripple Mist bitch, I'm the one looking for you today. So, we'll talk about your grudge with Lung Ruoxue later. Settle our grudge first. Do we have any grudges?" Ripple Mist played dumb. "Thanks, of course there is. Wuchen, it's useless to act stupid. You'd better face reality as soon as possible," Ice Spirit reminded. However, Wuyan didn't take it to heart and laughed wildly. "Ha ha! Ice Spirit, you want to ask about your son, right? You think he'll tell you? You will. You will definitely boast to me about what you have done to my son, so that I will be in so much pain that I wish I were dead. I'll give you a chance now. Hurry up and make me suffer. Come on, don't waste everyone's time," Ice Spirit said confidently. In the end, she even took the initiative to urge him. These words made Lung Ruoxue's forehead fill with black lines. What was this? To stimulate the miasma? Lung Ruoxue was looking forward to Wu Ling's reaction when she heard this. As expected, Wu Chun did not disappoint Lung Ruoxue. Very quickly, Wu Chun shouted in anger, "Ice Spirit, I know you're goading me. Do you think he'll fall for it? You want fall for it? Yeah. When did you become so smart?" Ice Spirit asked in surprise. Ripple was almost driven mad by Ice Spirit's sarcastic tone. She pointed at Ice Spirit with her long finger and was unable to complete her sentence. Ice Spirit didn't care and continued, "Do you want to know how I got better? I heard that your injuries aren't light either. You must be very curious, right? How did you get better?" Wu Jing immediately asked after hearing this. Obviously, she was more interested in this topic. You want to know? Ice Spirit deliberately kept her in suspense. Bastard, hurry up and tell me. Wu Xian said somewhat anxiously. TSK, do I have to say it if you want me to? Then I'll lose face. The Ice Spirit Chi said. If you tell me, we'll tell you where your son is. How about it? Wu Xiao began to talk about the conditions. I don't trust you, unless you tell me first. Ice Spirit shook her head in disbelief. Wu Yin was furious again. She didn't expect that the Ice Soul, which she hadn't seen for tens of thousands of years, would become so cunning. Lung Ruoxue must have taught him that. The innocent Lung Ruoxue was implicated, and she could clearly feel Wu Xian's knife-like fierce gaze shooting towards her. However, she was already used to Wu Xian's anger, so she was extremely calm. How is it? Do you agree? Ice Spirit asked again when she saw that Wu Xiao didn't react very well. Good. I agree. Helplessly, Wu Yin compromised. Then say it. I'm all ears. Ice Spirit said calmly. In fact, he was extremely nervous, but he didn't show it. Your bastard is already dead. Back then, I threw it to the lower realm when it was still an egg. Without your Qilin clan's nurturing, it would have no way of living, so I advise you to give up. You won't be able to see that bastard again in this lifetime. Ha ha ha. Wu Xiao laughed very proudly. Ice Spirit's face turned pale after hearing this. Although he had been prepared that his son might not be in this world anymore, he still had a glimmer of hope since he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. However, he couldn't take it anymore after hearing Wu Mo's words. Therefore, in the next moment, he flew into a rage and rushed directly in the direction of the fog. Wu Cheng, you killed my son. I won't let you off. Chapter 2777. As long as he's alive, 2. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue hurriedly stopped Ice Spirit, who had gone a little crazy from the provocation, and questioned him loudly, Senior Ice Soul, do you believe the words of that mist ripple bitch so easily? Then you're too easy to fool. Upon hearing this, Ice Soul miraculously calmed down. She opened her bloodshot and dazed eyes and turned to look at Lung Ruoxue. You're saying that she might be lying to me on purpose? And Lung Ruoxue nodded seriously. No matter if the ripple mist bitch was telling the truth or not, she didn't want Ice Spirit to act rashly at this time. They couldn't just believe whatever the ripple mist bitch said. Wouldn't that be falling right into her trap? Lung Ruoxue didn't want to let that ripple which get too smug. However, Wu Jing was obviously restless. Seeing that Ice Spirit had calmed down, she continued to provoke him. Ice Soul, why would I lie to you about this? I'm still waiting for your healing method. They'll believe you if you show me the evidence. Ice Spirit said calmly. You want evidence? All right, take a look for yourself. Then, she threw a piece of memory water to Ice Soul. Ice Soul looked at it, and his expression changed again. Where does this lead to? Ice Spirit asked after reading it. I don't know. I just randomly found a passage and threw the egg down. How would I know where it will fall? But I'm sure it's not going to survive. Wu Ling said confidently. She dared to say this because she wasn't afraid of the Ice Soul's anger. It was the Ice Soul that wanted to know the answer. I've already told you what you wanted to know. Now, it's your turn to say it. Good. In fact, I only recovered from my injuries because I ate a reincarnation pill. Ice Spirit seemed to be sincere, but when Ripple Mist heard this, her eyes immediately lit up and she asked, What about the reincarnation pill? Is there any more? With the reincarnation pill, she didn't have to worry about her injuries. In the past, she also had a reincarnation pill in her hand. However, that stupid pill ran away and there was no news of it until now. She didn't know if the reincarnation pill that was eaten by the Ice Soul was the same as the one she had. What do you think the reincarnation pill is? How could there be more? Ice Soul snorted. Then where did the reincarnation pill that you ate come from? Wu Jing finally asked the question she was most interested in. Of course it's something our Qilin clan found an alchemist to refine. What, do you also want it? Let's slowly collect the herbs first. Well, I've collected enough herbs, you'll just find a random alchemist to refine it for you. Ice Spirit said. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue broke out in cold sweat. It seemed like Bing Po was not someone to be fooled. Ripple used an illusory answer in exchange for a watered-down answer. This was fair. However, Lung Ruoxue still wanted to provoke Wu Ling, so she interrupted with a smile. The reincarnation pill that Senior Ice Soul ate was refined by me. What, you wanted to? It's a pity that I can't make it for you. Lung Ruoxue's words angered Ripple, missed once more. Ice Soul, who was at the side, broke out in cold sweat. He didn't mention the alchemy master who refined the reincarnation pill because he was afraid that Wu Xian would find trouble with this girl. Who knew that she would expose herself? It seemed that this little girl also liked to stir up trouble. Thanks, it turned out that the ice spirit was real. Not only did Lung Ruoxue like to see the world in chaos, but she was also willing to provoke Wu Ling. Seeing that Wu Ling's expression was rather ugly, she continued to provoke. In addition, as far as I know, in the entire divine realm, no one can refine the reincarnation pill except me. Therefore, you should give up the idea of collecting herbs and looking for an alchemist to refine the reincarnation pill. By the way, Azure wants me to send you its regards and wish you never to recover. By the time Lung Ruoxue was done speaking, Wu Ice's face had turned from white to red, red to green, green to black. Her entire face was like a color palette, and the colors on it were quite interesting. Without giving Wu Xian a chance to speak, Lung Ruoxue turned to Ice Spirit. Senior, what are we going to do next? What else do you want to do? Wu Chun was so angry that he was about to explode. Ice Spirit was speechless for a while before he said, "Let's go back first." All right. Although Lung Ruoxue was not sure why Ice Spirit left, she was still very cooperative. After that, the two of them turned around and walked towards the city gate as if there was no one else around. Wu Ling was so angry that she was panting heavily. She felt the blood in her chest churning, and a sense of dizziness struck her. Hence, she did not have the mood to order people to stop the unbridled Lung Ruoxue and Ice Spirit. She immediately teleported and disappeared. Looking at the two guys who had come to make trouble and left safely, Xin Yi and the other two were speechless. These two people were really too rampant, right? However, Wu Xiao was not going to be attacked by them, so they naturally would not meddle in her business. After that, the three of them glanced indifferently at the unconscious leader of the men in black who had been abandoned on the ground. They turned around and entered the God Lord's estate, which no longer had a door. As for Lung Ruoxue, after she left with Ice Spirit, she had been wondering why this man had suddenly decided to leave. Logically speaking, after knowing the enemy who killed his son, even if he couldn't kill him now, he should at least cause some trouble for the other party, right? However, the Ice Spirit left just like that. What was even more strange was that Wu Chun didn't stop him. It looked like that bitch's injuries weren't light. Lung Ruoxue, who had a few question marks in her heart, finally could not help but ask after the two of them left the Imperial City. Are we just going to leave like this? What else? Fight with Wu Yin, and then both of you will be injured? Ice Soul smiled and asked, what I mean is, even if we can't kill Wu Chun now, we can at least give her some trouble. Lung Ruoxue said, feeling a little embarrassed. Little girl, our appearance has already made her so angry that she's about to vomit blood. So, we really don't have to fight her head on at this time. You know, a thin camel is still bigger than a horse. I'm not at my peak right now, and you're only a divine emperor. Besides, I've already asked what I wanted to know, so there's no need for me to stay in U City. Ice Spirit said calmly. So, you believe her words? By the way, what's in the memory crystal she gave you? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Ice Spirit's eyes darkened. He then passed the memory crystal that Wu Xiao had given him to Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue took a look at it. It showed that Ripple was standing on a cliff, holding an icy blue egg in her hand. Then, she threw the egg down. She threw the egg down the cliff? Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. Didn't that woman say that she had thrown the egg into the lower realm? Little girl, that's not a cliff. It's a passage leading to the lower realm. I just don't know where my son has been thrown. Ice Spirit said sadly. You plan to go down and find it? Lung Ruoxue could tell what Bingpa was thinking. At this moment, She also understood that if Ice Spirit didn't have a glimmer of hope in her son, she wouldn't have left U City so easily. Chapter 2778. As long as he's alive. 3. It seems that I can't hide anything from you. Little girl, am planning to go to the lower realm to look for it. As a descendant of the Qilin, I can't let it die outside. I want to see the beast if it's alive, and I want to see its corpse if it's dead. Ice Spirit nodded. If he didn't want to find his son, how could he let go of Wu Chun so easily? When she heard Ice Spirit's words, she knew that Ice Spirit was just trying to calm her down by saying that he didn't want to fight with Fog. In fact, she was not that impulsive. After some thought, Lung Ruoxiu asked carefully, Senior, I wonder if your son has any special characteristics? Characteristics? I don't know. When he was stolen by Wu Ya, my son was still an unborn egg, so I really don't know what characteristics he has. But I think he should be the same as me, an Ice Qilin. Even though she did not understand why Lung Ruoxiu asked this question, Ice Soul still answered truthfully after thinking about it. Lung Ruoxiu was speechless. What was the difference between this and not saying anything? However, she did not give up and continued to ask, Senior, don't you Qilins have horns? No? What's wrong? Seeing that Lung Ruoxiu's questions were getting stranger, Ice Soul started to suspect something. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxiu blinked her beautiful eyes as she asked. The reason why she asked this was because she suddenly thought of Bing Yi. However, that little fellow had a white, jade-like horn on its head, which was obviously not in line with the appearance of the Qilin clan. Hence, Lung Ruoxiu was not sure if Bing Yi was related to the Qilin clan. However, she was certain that the Ice Phoenix was a Qilin. That little fellow could also confirm his own identity. I'm sure. An adult Qilin definitely doesn't have horns, but a young Qilin does. However, after we grow up, our horns will fall off on their own. That is also a sign of maturity for the Qilin clan. Ice Spirit said after some serious thought. Hearing his words, Lung Ruoxiu's eyes lit up. She knew it. The Ice Phoenix was definitely a Qilin. Little girl, why do you ask? Ice Soul asked suspiciously when she noticed Lung Ruoxiu's abnormal reaction. I'm just curious. Lung Ruoxiu replied calmly, then asked, Senior, I heard from that Kirin bitch that without your Qilin race's nourishment, the little Qilin in the egg can't survive. Is that true? It's true. When a young Qilin is born, it requires a lot of spiritual energy and our Qilin's own blood chi. If there is no blood chi and only spiritual energy, the growth of the young Qilin will be very slow. If it can't be born for a long time, it will suffocate in the egg one day. Therefore, the nurturing of the Qilin clan itself is very important. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lost my mind instantly after listening to Wu Cheng's words. Ice Soul said sadly, Is there no other way to ensure little Qilin survival? Lung Ruoxiu could not help but ask. There is, but the Qilin clan is proud. Even a young Qilin would not do that. Ice Soul sighed. What is it? Lung Ruoxiu asked shamelessly as she saw how unclear Bing Po's words were. Find a human to recognize as its master, Ice Spirit said honestly. This way, the little Qilin in the egg won't die. Lung Ruoxiu confirmed once again. Yes, but after recognizing a human as its master, there is no way for the Qilin to be accepted by its clansmen. Therefore, our Qilin clan basically won't find a human master for ourselves. Ice Spirit said honestly. What if, and I'm saying what if, in order to survive, your son finds himself a human master? Lung Ruoxiu probed. Although she wasn't sure if Bing Yao was related to Bing Po by blood, she felt that she had to figure out for Bing Po who had lost his son or for Bing Yao. If that's the case, I'd be glad instead, Ice Spirit said. Then she sighed and continued. Little girl, it's been so many years. In fact, I don't dare to hold any hope for my son's survival, but there's always a trace of concern in my heart that I hope he can live well. I've let down this son of mine. Back then, in order not be controlled by the fog, I decisively gave up on him, so I really don't have the right to let him acknowledge me again. Now, my only hope is that he can live well, even if it acknowledges a human master. At least that way, he still has the hope of survival. As long as he's alive, that's good. Ice Spirit choked as he added. His eyes were filled with tears. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she felt bad. The Ice Spirit now was just an ordinary father who wanted his child to live well. He had no other requests for his only son. As long as his son could live, he would be satisfied even if he didn't acknowledge him. AI, what a deep fatherly love this was. Although Ice Soul felt guilty about what had happened back then, Lung Ruoxue did not think that he had made any serious mistakes. He just did not want his people to be controlled by fog. Thus, he would rather sacrifice his unborn son to fight for a chance of survival for the Qilin clan. Lung Ruoxue admitted that she couldn't do such a righteous thing. However, as a similarly proud person, Lung Ruoxue could understand him. She was also very clear that if she was in Bing Pio's position back then, she would have made the same choice. Thanks, the dignity of the strong could not be blasphemed by anyone. That was her thought, nothing else. Now that she had learned from Ice Spirit's example, Lung Ruoxue's desire to become a true expert was even stronger. Only by becoming an expert strong enough to contend against the fog ripple could she and the people around her live freely in the divine realm. Otherwise, the unstable element of the fog ripple would disturb them sooner or later. Lung Ruoxue admitted that she wasn't someone who would take a beating from the back. She wouldn't wait for someone to provoke her to the door before retaliating. Therefore, the fate of the Qilin clan had also strengthened her determination to cultivate. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue's aura changed. Ice Spirit was surprised to see this. He did not know what Lung Ruoxue had suddenly thought of that caused her to be so excited. Little girl, what's wrong? Ice Spirit ignored her sadness and looked at Lung Ruoxue with concern. It's nothing. I just thought of the threat of Rhyme Ice and felt that I should work hard on my cultivation. I don't want her to harm the people around me. Lung Ruoxue said with determination. You should work hard on your cultivation. However, you should let nature take its course on the path of cultivation. You can't be too eager for quick success. Otherwise, it will only backfire. Ice Spirit asked worriedly. Lung Ruoxue nodded and said, Senior, you must be curious as to why I asked that question, right? Yep. Little girl, can you answer my question now? Ice Soul smiled. Sure. In fact, I also know an Ice Qilin. I met it in the lower realm. Lung Ruoxue nodded. What did you just say? Upon hearing this, Ice Soul's eyes widened in excitement. She looked at Lung Ruoxue in disbelief. He didn't hear wrong, did he? Did this little girl say that she knew an Ice Qilin and they met in the lower realm? I said I know an Ice Qilin and I met it in the lower realm. Lung Ruoxue repeated when she saw that Ice Spirit was in disbelief. What does the Ice Qilin look like? Does she look like me? Ice Spirit quickly asked. When Lung Ruoxue heard this question, she was extremely conflicted. What did he look like? What could she say? In her eyes, weren't all Qilins the same? How could she tell if they looked like each other? Senior, the Ice Qilin I know should still be a child. After hesitating for a moment, Lung Ruoxue decided to tell the truth. Childhood, the age doesn't match. If my son was still alive, he would be an adult by now. Upon hearing that the Ice Qilin that Lung Ruoxue knew was still young, Ice Soul was extremely disappointed. No wonder Lung Ruoxue had asked him if the Qilin had horns. Now, he could finally match it. I see. Does Senior still want to see the Qilin I know? Lung Ruoxue asked, even though she could hear the disappointment in Ice Spirit's voice. Let's meet. After all, it's a cub of our Qilin clan, so it has to return to the Qilin clan. Ice Spirit said, after thinking, I'm afraid it can't go back. It has acknowledged a human as its master. Lung Ruoxue replied honestly. So that's how it is. Little girl, you asked so many questions before because of this, right? Now, Ice Spirit was even more clear. In my heart, I hope that Bing Yao could find his home and also hope that Senior could find his long-lost son. But now it seems that this was clearly my wishful thinking. Lung Ruoxue was also a little disappointed. No matter what, I still have to thank you. Ice Spirit was very grateful for Lung Ruoxue's thoughtfulness. He then said, Little girl, you said that little guy is called Bing Yao? Is it your beastie? No, it's my friend S. However, the ice phoenix also lives with me, but it's now in closed-door cultivation with Master. If Senior wants to see it, I can wake it up. Lung Ruoxue smiled. They'll see it before I leave. Little girl, they'll have to trouble you. Ice Spirit agreed. Senior, let's find a quiet place. Lung Ruoxue suggested. At the same time, she sent a voice transmission to Qing Ju, asking him to help wake Bing Yao up. Ice Spirit nodded and brought Lung Ruoxue to a remote mountain that he knew of. Lung Ruoxue looked at the huge, dense branches and leaves that blocked out the sky. She thought to herself, this is indeed a quiet place. However, the light here was completely blocked. Although it was not impossible to see one's fingers, it was still a little difficult to see the other party clearly. Chapter 2779, The Awkward Ice Spirit 1. This place is really well hidden, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly after observing the surroundings. Of course, other than me, no one else knows about this place. So, it's absolutely safe here. Ice Spirit said proudly after listening to Lung Ruoxue. Seeing that Ice Spirit was obviously showing off, Lung Ruoxue was even more speechless. After communicating with Qing Ju and finding out that he had awakened Bing Yao, Lung Ruoxue shifted Bing Yao out of the bracelet. Then, an icy blue fur ball suddenly pounced into her arms and affectionately rubbed against her beautiful face. It even shouted passionately, "Little Shue Shue, little Bing Bing missed you so much. Did you really miss me?" Lung Ruoxue feigned disbelief. Of course it's real. It's more real than diamonds. Bing Yao raised one of his little hooves and made a vow. There was a sad expression on his face. Sob, how could little Shue Shue not believe him? Were they that close? Seeing the pitiful look on Bing Yao's face, Lung Ruoxue rubbed the soft fur on its head and teased. Little Bing Bing, you've gained weight again. How could this be? I've been sleeping for so long, and I haven't eaten anything. Bing Yao's eyes widened in disbelief as she spoke with a terrified expression. Getting fat was definitely a rather serious problem. If it was so fat that its original appearance could not be seen, it would definitely affect its majestic and mighty image. Moreover, little Shue Shue had an excuse not to hold it, but that was not good. In an instant, Bing Yao thought of many things. She became more and more frightened and almost cried. Little Shue Shue, you're wrong. I didn't get fat. Bing Yao quibbled guiltily. Lying is not a good child. I can't carry you anymore. Haven't you gained weight? Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly and teased. I didn't get fat. I'm not fat. You are the one who lost weight. So, little Shue Shue, you can't wrong me. The moment Bing Yao heard this, he couldn't care about anything else and could only defend himself as much as possible, innocently pushing the blame onto Lung Ruoxue. When Lung Ruoxue heard its words, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. After not seeing her for a long time, why did Bing Yao become more and more adorable? Little Shue Shue, you're a bad guy. How dare you laugh at me? At this moment, Bing Yao could tell that Lung Ruoxue was toying with him and instantly became worried. Little Shue Shue had been corrupted. Woo, she must have learned it from that demonic man. Hee. Bing Yao, I haven't seen you for a long time. I missed you. Seeing that Bing Yao was a little angry, Lung Ruoxue quickly coaxed her. I missed you too, Bing Yao said very emotionally. However, it had to accompany its master because its master was too lonely. By the way, little Shue Shue, did you ask Qing Ju to wake me up because you miss me too much? Bing Yao asked again with a little pride. Yup. However, I also want you to meet someone. After being intimate with Bing Yao, Lung Ruoxue finally remembered the existence of Ice Soul. She turned her beautiful eyes towards Ice Soul. Then, she was stunned. What's wrong with Ice Spirit? At this moment, Bing Po was in a dazed state. He stood there in a daze and stared unwaveringly at Bing Yao in Lung Ruoxue's arms. His eyes were glistening with tears. Very quickly, tears began to flow down his cheeks. Ugh, what was going on? Lung Ruoxue was a little lost. Could it be? Senior. Lung Ruashua walked over to Ice Soul and nudged him gently. Thanks, little girl. Can I hug this little guy? Ice Spirit woke up and asked anxiously. This, Lung Ruashua could not make the decision. Turning to look at Bing Yao, Lung Ruashua waited for it to make its own decision. Bing Yao tilted her head and studied Bing Per. This guy's aura was somewhat familiar. Who was he? Looking at Lung Ruashua, Bing Yao asked her with her eyes. This senior is the Qilin clan's clan leader. He's from the same clan as you. Lung Ruashua gave a simple introduction. Oh, Bing Yao nodded. He understood now. They were of the same race. No wonder the aura gave it a sense of déjà vu. Since they were of the same race, she would let him hug her if he wanted to. The Ice Phoenix thought to itself very kindly. In fact, it had a very good impression of this strange man in front of it. In the next second, Bing Yao jumped into Ice Spirit's arms. Ice Spirit hugged the heavy Ice Phoenix, tears flowing from her eyes. As Lung Ruashua witnessed this scene, her suspicions grew. However, Bing Pa did not say anything. She hugged Bing Yao tightly. Bing Yao was in a dazed state. At that moment, Lung Ruashua could only suppress her questions and wait for Bing Pa to explain to her. Unfortunately, after waiting for a long time, Lung Ruashua did not receive an explanation from Ice Spirit. After a long time, Ice Spirit finally said, "Let this little fellow follow me back to the Qilin clan to stay for a while. The Ice Phoenix has to agree to this. I can't make the decision for it." Lung Ruashua replied without even thinking. Yes. Bing Pa nodded and asked Bing Jia, "Bing Jia, are you willing to follow me back to the Qilin clan and have a look?" "Sure, but I want little Shue to go with me." Bing Yao didn't refuse, and even thought that he was smart enough to get himself a little companion. According to its thinking, it shouldn't leave with strangers. However, this stranger gave it a very familiar feeling, so it wanted to go back with him. However, it didn't want to go back alone, so it could only pull Lung Ruashua along. "No problem," he said. Ice Spirit nodded. As long as this little fellow was willing to return to the clan with him, he would agree to any condition. Just like that, Lung Ruashua became the background of Bing Yao as she followed Bing Pa back to the Qilin clan. When the two humans and the cub returned to the Qilin clan, they immediately caused a huge commotion. Especially Fire Yu and the Great Elder. When they saw Ice Spirit, they immediately cried and complained, "Clan leader, you finally returned. Why? Do you wish for me to not return?" Ice Spirit said coldly, "Clan leader, we didn't mean it that way. We're just worried about your safety." First Elder Qilin quickly explained, "I can't let the clan leader misunderstand. What about the clansmen he and Fire Guangdong had sent out? Chief, where are the other clansmen?" The Qilin Grand Elder couldn't help but ask, "What other clansmen?" Ice Spirit asked in confusion. "After you and Miss Lung left, we immediately sent some clansmen to assist you." The Qilin Grand Elder explained. "We didn't see a single one," Ice Spirit said truthfully, but he couldn't help but snort in his heart. "Assistance?" She said it so nicely, but she was probably worried about his skills and afraid that something would happen to him. Although the Qilin Great Elder and Huayu had good intentions, Ice Soul felt that their actions were unnecessary. Think about it. If he himself was in danger, would the other clansmen be safe? One had to know that even if he hadn't recovered to his peak state, his strength was still one of the best in the Qilin clan. Chapter 2780, The Awkward Ice Spirit 2. How did this happen? The Qilin First Elder was completely stunned. "Great Elder, we really didn't see them." Lung Ruashua chimed in. "How could this be?" "Ah, Miss Lung, you're back too?" The First Elder of the Qilin clan seemed to be talking to himself. He then realized that the person who had spoken was Lung Ruashua. However, his reaction made Lung Ruashua feel rather depressed. From the looks of it, she had become completely invisible in the Qilin clan. However, this invisibility was a little too thorough. In his eyes, there was no place for anyone else other than his great clan leader. "I'm back. I came back with Bing Yao." Lung Ruashua sighed deeply before she spoke. "Ice Phoenix." At this time, The head elder's gaze gradually moved down, only to discover the ice-blue little Qilin that was sleeping soundly in the clan leader's arms. Who was this little guy? Their little prince? The Qilin Great Elder was very smart. He knew that there must be some inside information if the clan leader didn't take the initiative to introduce him. Therefore, he didn't voice his doubts and only used his eyes to ask his clan leader. However, Ice Spirit did not respond to him. Instead, she carried the Ice Phoenix and walked away. Ugh! The Qilin Grand Elder looked at Ice Spirit's back and became deeply worried. Miss Lung, what is the relationship between that little Qilin and my clan head? Since he couldn't get an answer from the clan leader, the Qilin clan's Great Elder could only turn to ask Lung Ruoxue. I don't know, Lung Ruoxue said irresponsibly. With that, she turned and left. Lung Ruoxue went back to the courtyard she used to stay in. For the next few days, Lung Ruoxue did not see Bing Yao again. At this time, Uncle Long and the others, who had been unconscious for several days, also woke up. When they woke up, they found themselves in Shui Air's space. Uncle Long and the others were surprised, but they knew that Shui must have moved them in. After asking Shui to move them out of the dimension, Uncle Long and the others looked at the familiar room and living room. They asked curiously, Shui, isn't the Qilin clan leader going to your city? You haven't set off yet? We're all back. Lung Ruoxue replied helplessly. Ugh. When the few people present heard this, they were all depressed. It seemed that they had missed the excitement again. AI, drinking is a bad thing. Shui, when are we going home? Uncle Long asked again. I don't know. They'll have to wait for the Qilin clan leader to return Bing Yao to me. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Bing Yao had been taken away by the Qilin clan leader for a few days, and there had been no news from her. Ice Phoenix, that little fellow is awake. First Elder immediately replied. I woke him up. I wanted to let the Qilin clan leader see Bing Yao, but he took Bing Yao as his own and didn't want to return it to me. Lung Ruoxue said with a face full of frustration. More importantly, Ice Spirit's mouth was shut tightly like a clamshell, not saying a word. She could only let her imagination run wild. That little guy is non-existent, and now you've lost him. How are you going to explain this to him when he wakes up? When First Elder heard this, he couldn't help but remind. Thanks, although he had not spent much time with Wu and Bing Yao, he still recognized the man and beast. Master Ning also recognized him. Hearing the Great Elder say this, he couldn't help but worry. What are you guys talking about? Uncle Long was a little confused. Who was Bing Yao? Who was Wu? He had no idea at all. I'm not little Shui Air's friend. I have a little Qilin in my hands, but now that little Qilin is in the hands of the Qilin clan leader, I can't get it back. The Great Elder explained. This time, the confused people finally understood. Shui, is there any relationship between the little Qilin called Bing Yi and the Qilin clan leader? After figuring out these strange relationships, Uncle Long asked the most important question. I don't know. That old Qilin has kept his mouth shut. He won't say anything. Lung Ruoxue said gloomily. Then what does he mean by monopolizing the Ice Phoenix? Uncle Long was also confused. I suspect that Bing Yao is his child. Lung Ruoxue stated her guess. Of course, she had yet to verify it. No way. If the Qilin clan leader finds out that his son has acknowledged a human as his master, wouldn't that? The Grand Elder was a little worried. These top-grade beasts were the proudest and couldn't tolerate their offspring being contracted by humans. Therefore, he didn't need to think to guess the anger of the Qilin clan leader when he found out about this. Of course, the premise was that Bing Yao was really someone else's child. Don't worry. If that's the case, the Qilin clan leader would be grateful. Because if it wasn't for Wu, Bing Yao would have died long ago. Lung Ruoxue said in understanding. Then, she recounted what had happened to Uncle Long and the others. After hearing this, everyone finally understood the cause and effect. Shui, didn't the Ice clan leader say anything after seeing Bing Yao? The master of the Ning family asked curiously. He didn't say, but based on his condition at that time, I think he and Bing Yao should be related. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Shui, you're right. The little Qilin, named Bing, and the Ice Soul Clan's leader must be father and son. Uncle Long said with certainty. What? Seeing how confident Uncle Long was, Lung Ruoxue couldn't understand. Little girl, for us beastie, the connection between parents and children is our instinct. Therefore, we know very well which little beast is our offspring, and we will never mistake it for anything else. I think Senior Ice Soul must have recognized that the Ice Phoenix is his child, which is why he was so excited. Uncle Long explained. But Senior Ice Soul said that his child should be an adult already. Furthermore, Bing Yao didn't sense the father-son relationship between them. Lung Ruoxue voiced her doubts. I don't know why the Ice Phoenix wasn't an adult yet, but the Ice Phoenix didn't sense the father-son relationship between them. It must have something to do with the fact that it had never seen its parents. After all, it was just an egg at that time, so it was understandable that it couldn't sense them so accurately. However, when it sees Senior Ice Soul, it will definitely feel a sense of familiarity. This is the nature of a father and son. Uncle Long said. No wonder. Lung Ruoxue was pretty sure that it was true after hearing what Uncle Long said. When Bing Yao first saw Bing Po, she was indeed very willing to get close to her. However, this was only their speculation. The Ice Spirit had not confirmed it yet, so it did not matter what they thought. Now, they could only wait for Ice Spirit to tell them the truth. Who knew that half a month's time would pass just like this? In the end, Lung Ruoxue couldn't take it anymore. She went to find the great elder of the Qilin clan and asked him to tell Bing Po that she was going home with Bing Yao. Make the other party return the Ice Phoenix. Even though the Qilin great elder was put in a difficult position, he still reported Lung Ruoxue's words truthfully. When Ice Spirit heard this, she immediately went to look for Lung Ruoxue. When Lung Ruoxue saw Ice Spirit, she sneered, Is the Ice Soul Clan's leader finally willing to show himself? Chapter 2781. The Awkward Ice Spirit. 3. How detestable. It was really too detestable. This fellow was clearly in the clan, but when she went to see him, she was told by the guards that the clan leader was not around. What the hell is he not in? Why did it come out so quickly this time? Lung Ruoxue was furious. Can you let Bing Yao stay for a few more days? Ignoring Lung Ruoxue's anger, Ice Soul asked directly. What's the reason? It's been so long, Bing Yao should come home with me. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Its home is in the Qilin clan. Ice Soul said, You're wrong. It's always lived with us, so its home is naturally in Demon City. Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. It's a Qilin, Ice Spirit reminded, but it has already recognized a human as its master. Didn't you say that a Qilin that has recognized a human as its master would not be accepted by the Qilin clan? Since that was the case, why let it stay in the Qilin clan and suffer the discrimination? That's why I think it's better for Bing Yao to leave with me. Of course, if the Ice Soul Clan's leader misses the Ice Phoenix, you can come to Demon City to see it at any time. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. She didn't believe that she couldn't force Ice Spirit to tell the truth. Then, he'll go with you to Demon City. Ice Spirit said helplessly. Fuck. Lung Ruoxue really wanted to scold Qilin. She had already said so. Why was this Qilin, whose mouth was even tighter than a clamshell, still so pretentious? Would it kill you to tell the truth and say that Bing Yao is your child? Lung Ruoxue was unable to deal with Ice Spirit's sudden embarrassment. What was she trying to do? Taking a deep breath, Lung Ruoxue nodded and said, In that case, please come with us, Ice Soul Clan leader. After getting her Ice Phoenix back, she had even managed to get the Qilin clan leader to be her bodyguard. Lung Ruoxue felt that this was not a bad deal. Ice Spirit nodded and left. After he left, Uncle Long and the others, who had been watching from the side, couldn't help but sigh and say, are you really bringing him back? Yes, since this is his choice, we can't do anything about it. Lung Ruoxue said gloomily. Not long after, Ice Spirit came back with a listless Ice Phoenix. The moment she saw Lung Ruoxue, Bing Yao immediately became excited, as if she had been injected with chicken blood. She shouted agitatedly. Little Shueshua, save me. This pervert is torturing me to death. Woo-woo. After Bing Yao finished shouting, he even started wailing. Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she saw this. What was going on? When Ice Spirit heard Bing Yao's words, his face darkened and he said angrily, I'm doing this for your good. Look at your strength. You've made the entire Qilin clan lose face. I don't have any clansmen. What does it have to do with you whether I'm embarrassed or not? I don't like to cultivate. I only like to eat and sleep. What's it to you? Aren't you being a little too nosy, you strange uncle? Little Shueshua, help. The Ice Phoenix retorted angrily. It then extended its hooves towards Lung Ruoxue, hoping that she could save it from its demonic claws. Previously, it felt that this strange man gave it a very friendly feeling, making it have a good impression of him. But now it knew that it was wrong. What kind of friendly feelings? All of you get lost. Anyone who didn't let it eat more or sleep well was its enemy. Therefore, from the moment this strange man urged it to cultivate, it had secretly hated this man who had turned from friendly to annoying. Who said you don't have any clansmen? All the Qilins here are your clansmen, so you must work hard to learn how to become a great Qilin. You can't be as reckless as you were before. Bing Yao's words made Bing Pio's face filled with disappointment. I have no interest in becoming the great Qilin. I just want to be like before, so don't worry about me. You're nobody to me. What right do you have to dictate my future? Uncle, you're being too nosy. Bing Yao roared. He was so angry that all the hair on his body stood up. When Lung Ruoxue, Uncle Long, and the rest saw this, they couldn't help but give Bing Yao a thumbs up. Good job, little fellow. Look at how angry the Qilin clan leader was. His face was even darker than the bottom of a pot. Thanks among them. Lung Ruoxue felt that it was the best way to vent her hatred. Who asked you to be so hesitant and not reveal Bing Yao's identity? Now, this is great. You let Bing Yao, this little fellow, turn the tables on you, right? AI. In this world, what could hurt a father's heart more than a son complaining that his father was too controlling? Lung Ruoxue was sure that Bing Po was already in tears. It had to be said that Lung Ruoxue was right. Bing Pio's heart was hurt by Bing Yao's words. Uncle, none of your business, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. In reality, it was just as Lung Ruoxue had guessed. Bing Yao was Bing Pio's child who had been thrown into the lower realm by Wu Mo Bing, but had recognized Bing Yao the moment he saw her. However, he had not expected that his child, who should have been an adult, was still not fully mature. He knew that this was related to the Ice Phoenix's inborn deficiency. Even though the Ice Phoenix recognized a human as its master and saved its life as a Qilin, the Ice Phoenix was still a little weak. This made it feel extremely guilty, so much so that it couldn't tell the Ice Phoenix that it was its father and that it wasn't an orphan. Originally, he had also tested the Ice Phoenix a few times, wanting to see if it wanted to know who its parents were. Who would have thought that the Ice Phoenix didn't care at all? It even told him that it was enough as long as it had its master and little Shueshua. It didn't need parents. This fact made Bing even more worried. At the same time, he became envious and jealous of Bing Yao's master and Lung Ruoxue, whom he had never met before. This was why he had not allowed Lung Ruoxue and Bing Yao to meet these few days. Even when he saw Lung Ruoxue, he could not give her a good look. He was jealous. What right did that little girl have to hold such an important place in his son's heart? He was not even the master of his son, which made him feel even more unbalanced. However, Bing Yao's indifference to her background made him even more afraid to speak the truth, and the fear in his heart only increased. He was really afraid that if Bing Yao knew his background and the fact that he was abandoned, she would hate him, her father. As such, he felt even more awkward. Apart from awkwardness, there was also a deep sorrow. The temperature around him had also dropped a lot because of the low air pressure he had suddenly released. Lung Ruoxue could clearly feel the cold, and seeing this pair of seemingly father and son like fighting roosters, she could only helplessly step forward, wanting to rescue Bing Yao. However, Bing Po, who was also holding onto the Ice Phoenix, refused to let go. Lung Ruoxue and Bing Po were in a stalemate. When they saw Lung Ruoxue hugging Bing Yao's upper body, Bing Yao's front hooves clasped onto Lung Ruoxue's neck, while Bing Po hugged Bing Yao's lower body tightly, creating a distance between the three of them. Uncle Long and the rest had no choice but to step forward and grab Bing Po's arm. Senior, please let go. Even the Ice Phoenix is uncomfortable. Why should I let go? Why isn't it this girl who let go? Ice Spirit said indignantly. Because Bing Yao is not on your side. Uncle Long sighed inwardly, but he still smiled and said, Senior, you should respect Bing Yao's choice. That's right, Uncle, I don't like you anymore. Let go of me and mind my business. Otherwise, it'll bite you. Bing Yao gave Uncle Long a look of praise after hearing what he said. Then, he shouted at Bing Po angrily. Bing Yao, I'm doing this for your own good. Why can't you understand? Ice Spirit said helplessly. There seemed to be a flash of pain in her eyes. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she smiled faintly and said, Senior, any elder would say that their actions or requests are for the good of the younger generation. But have you ever thought that forcing your own thoughts on others is really for their own good? The Ice Phoenix was no longer a child. It had the right to choose the life it wanted. Perhaps you think that its strength isn't high and that it's a disgrace to the Qilin clan, but I think that it's fine like this because this is the way it likes to live. It's all because you've spoiled it to this state. As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, Ice Spirit's voice of dissatisfaction rang out. All right, even if I spoil it, you can't deny that it likes this kind of life. Lung Ruoxue was helpless against Ice Spirit's stubbornness. She could only continue to reason with him. Yes, I like this kind of carefree life. Uncle, if you want to do something, then you should do something about your Qilin clan's little Qilin. Don't always expect me to get along with them. I can't get along with them. Those of different paths cannot conspire together. Bing Yao was very cooperative with Lung Ruoxue. Bing Yao, Ice Spirit tried to persuade her, but she was interrupted by Bing Yao. Stop. Uncle, don't tell me what's for my own good. I'm not a child. I know what kind of life I want. Bing Yao spoke the truth. Then, he didn't care if Bing Po had suffered a huge blow. Taking advantage of his distraction, he broke free and hid in Lung Ruoxue's arms. Bing Po sighed helplessly when he saw Bing Yao. AI, why couldn't this child understand him? God knew how much he wanted to make it up to this child and give it all the good things, but this child didn't care at all. Not only that, Bing Yao kept on urging Lung Ruoxue, Little Shue, take me away from here. I don't want to come here anymore. There are too many rules for me to stand. Yes, let's go home now. Lung Ruoxue stroked Bing Yao's little head and nodded. Senior, let's go. Lung Ruoxue then turned around and spoke to Ice Spirit. She then carried the Ice Phoenix and walked in front. Uncle Long and the rest followed behind Lung Ruoxue in silence. Their hearts were in turmoil. Who could walk so calmly with a powerful Qilin behind them? Of course, Lung Ruoxue was an exception. That girl's heart is strong. They walked out of the courtyard and walked to the gate. They saw Hui Yu and the first elder of the Kailan family who had heard the news and were panting heavily. Clan leader, are you going to leave with Miss Lung? Hui Yu and the first elder of the Kailan clan asked in unison with a long face. Chapter 2782. Miss Lung, your child is crying. 1. Wasn't this obvious? When Lung Ruoxue heard what the two of them said, she sighed in her heart. However, they did not ask her, so she naturally did not say anything. She turned around and glanced at Bing Po indifferently. Ice Spirit nodded coolly. Then, Fire Yu and Elder Qilin looked like abandoned wives. They looked so aggrieved that no one dared to look at them directly. Clan leader, we will go with you. The two of them said in unison again. They didn't want to be separated from their clan leader for so long. Why are you guys following him? Hearing this, Ice Spirit said angrily. Was he going to laugh at him? Let's see how he can't handle little Qilin. We're going to serve the chief. Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan said, I have hands and legs. I don't need you to serve me. Ice Spirit said in annoyance. Clan leader, you can't just ignore us. When the two heard this, tears began to flash in their eyes again, and they were about to fall. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was a little confused. What the hell is this? Did it have to be so exaggerated? Lung Ruoxue was truly speechless towards Huiyu and Elder Qilin. Did these two really have to make themselves so submissive? This was really too much to look down on. In the end, Lung Ruoxue, who could not take it any longer, shouted, "Are you guys done? If you want to follow me, that's fine. May I ask what you can do? My demon city doesn't keep idle people. We will do anything." Huiyu and the Qilin elder looked at each other for a moment before they replied in unison. "You can cook," Lung Ruoxue asked as she blinked her eyes. "No, I want tea," the two old Qilins whispered. "Then do the laundry. Are you taking care of the child?" Lung Ruoxue asked again. Huiyu and the elder Qilin were confused. They could understand washing clothes, but they had to take care of the children. You don't have any children, do you?" Huiyu was puzzled and asked carefully. "Who said I didn't tea?" Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and laughed evilly. I've never heard of it." Huiyu said gloomily. Why didn't they receive any news about such an important matter? He was not the only one who was depressed. The first elder of the Qilin clan and Bing Po were also puzzled. They looked at Lung Ruoxue with curiosity. In order to prove that her words were true, Lung Ruoxue took out a chubby little doll from her bracelet. The moment the little doll appeared, it immediately pounced into Lung Ruoxue's arms and called out enthusiastically, "Mother, be good." With the chubby baby in her arms, Lung Ruoxue looked at Huiyu and the first elder of the Qilin clan with a faint smile. The evidence was right in front of them, and the old Qilins were all speechless. "This child," Huiyu stammered and wanted to ask who he had the child with, but he could not bring himself to say the second half of the sentence. "Thanks, what? Can you wear it properly?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. I should be able to," Huiyu said with uncertainty. "Oh, really? Then here you go." After she finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue immediately stuffed the chubby little baby into Huiyu's arms. As soon as the baby changed arms, he immediately started crying. Huiyu was so frightened that she hurriedly tried to comfort him. However, the more she coaxed him, the louder the baby cried. For a moment, Huiyu didn't know what to do. Miss Lung, your child is crying." Stammering, Huiyu couldn't help but remind Lung Ruoxue that he was not used to the soft body of the little doll in his arms. "I saw him. You have to coax him," Lung Ruoxue requested calmly. No, I can't." Huiyu, who had been coaxed before, was dumbfounded. This little thing didn't listen to him at all. "It's not good to be too light. It's even worse to be too heavy, Wu. Human babies are really too difficult to serve compared to the Qilin clan's young. You can't coax her? Are you sure?" Lung Ruoxue asked in a serious tone. "I really can't coax her." Huiyu knew that there was a trap in Lung Ruoxue's words, but he could only speak the truth. Then, he immediately returned the hot-handed child to Lung Ruoxue. "If you can't even coax a child, what use are you in Demon City?" Just as Huiyu had expected, Lung Ruoxue had started to despise him. "I am going to serve the chief," Huiyu said in a low voice. In other words, he had nothing to do with Demon City. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't think that way. She patiently analyzed for him. "You want to serve your clan leader? I can understand that. However, your clan leader is coming with us to Demon City. Once we're there, he'll have to stay in my house, right? I don't have any objections to him living alone. After all, I was the one who agreed for him to go. But you guys, I didn't invite you. If you only want to serve him, then where do you live? Where do they live?" Huiyu and the Qilin elder understood what Lung Ruoxue meant. Lung Ruoxue did not invite them, so she did not plan to arrange a place for them to stay. They would have to find their own place. "Don't even think about building a house within a 100-mile radius of Demon City. That's my territory. If you dare to invade my territory, they'll be angry," Lung Ruoxue continued when she saw that they were silent. They really did have that plan, but Lung Ruoxue had immediately rejected it. Whoa, this detestable girl. How could she be so scheming? This was not leaving them any way out. The two Qilins expressed their sorrow. They had never felt so aggrieved before. However, they knew that it was impossible for them to gain any benefits from Lung Ruoxue. Clan leader. The two old Qilins looked at Ai's soul helplessly. However, Ice Soul only said coldly, "Don't make me repeat myself. I don't need anyone to serve me. Did you guys see that? Your clan leader doesn't need you at all." Hearing this, Lung Ruashua laughed, taking pleasure in his misfortune. Seeing her like this, Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan felt even more depressed. In the end, it was Uncle Long who kindly patted their shoulders and consoled them. "You two don't have to worry. Senior Ice Soul will live well in our place. Then please take good care of my family head." Since things had come to this, the two helpless old Qilins could only compromise. "Your family head isn't a 3-year-old child. He doesn't need anyone to take care of him." Lung Ruashua laughed when she heard Hui Yu and the first elder of the Qilin clan's request. Seeing that Lung Ruashua was obviously dissatisfied, Hui Yu and the Qilin Great Elder did not dare to express their opinions. Seeing that they were finally being honest, Lung Ruashua didn't make things difficult for them. She turned around and continued walking. Uncle Long and the others looked at Hui Yu and the Qilin Elder with sympathy and immediately followed Lung Ruashua. Ice Soul did not even turn around, leaving behind the two miserable old Qilin elders to see them off with reluctance. Just as Lung Ruashua and the rest were about to reach the Devil Forest, Shui Mo also rushed over. Seeing Lung Ruashua, Shui Mo grumbled, "Little girl, why didn't you tell me that you were going home? I could have gone home with you." Chapter 2783. Miss Lung, your child is crying. 2. Dear, this is your home, okay? Hearing Shui Mo's words, Lung Ruakshu's face was filled with black lines. At this moment, she glanced at Hui Yu and Elder Qilin who were too scared to come forward. She felt depressed for them. The two of them were very sad when they heard Shui Mo's words. These two fellows were only thinking for the Qilin race, but they had two unreliable ancestors. Especially Shui Mo. He didn't recognize anyone after seeing the formation and was going to leave with them. However, Lung Ruashua welcomed Shui Mo's presence, so she had no intention of rejecting him. Seeing that Lung Ruashua had brought Shui Mo along without saying anything, Hui Yu and Elder Qilin felt extremely disgruntled. Lung Ruashua was definitely treating him differently. They were really bullying the Qilin. How did he do this? The two old Qilins were very upset. However, he could not do anything to Lung Ruashua. In the end, they couldn't help but hide it from each other. "It's all your fault. You've angered Lung Ruashua previously, which is why she has a bad impression of us." First Elder Qilin was the first to launch an attack. "Didn't I already apologize sincerely? How can you blame me?" The Fire Yu was extremely indignant. Then, it roared angrily. "Even if I've offended Lung Ruashua, and she doesn't have a good impression of me, you, who didn't offend her, didn't get any special treatment from her either. So, we're clearly on the same level. So let's not talk about each other." "You're the one who started it anyway," the Qilin Great Elder said, still angry. "I said I'm sorry." Fire Yu counterattack. Just like that, the two old Qilins started to fight each other without a care for their image. By the time they realized that Lung Ruashua and the others had disappeared, they had already entered the Devil Forest. This should be the second time they had passed by the Devil Forest. The last time when Lung Ruashua and Ice Soul left the Qilin clan, they did not pass by this place. To save time, Ice Soul had teleported her along. Now that they were in the Devil Forest again, Lung Ruashua and the rest were extremely calm and prepared to fight the soul-devouring insects. However, the annoying soul-devouring insects did not appear even when they were almost out of the forest. Did you kill all the soul-devouring insects in one go last time?" Uncle Long was not used to the peaceful Devil Forest. How was that possible? Isn't the king of soul-devouring insects still alive? Lung Ruashua didn't want to be the scapegoat, but it was a fact that the soul-devouring bugs didn't appear. This made her feel rather depressed. If the Qilin race lost their barrier, it would be her fault if they blamed her in the future. The soul-devouring insects can't be completely exterminated. At this moment, Ice Spirit, who had been silent the whole time, finally spoke. Then I'm relieved. Lung Roashua heaved a sigh of relief. After that, everyone waved goodbye to the Devil Forest. After they left, a huge soul-devouring insect appeared where they were standing before. Around it, there were many small soul-devouring insects flying around. The big one was the king of soul-devouring insects. At this moment, it heaved a long sigh of relief. That terrifying woman had finally left. In the future, it and its descendants would be able to live happily here again. In fact, the intelligent king of soul-devouring insects had hesitated for a long time whether to appear or not. But in the end, it held back because it knew that it could not afford to offend the woman, so it could only hide. Now, after watching the fiendish woman leave, the king of soul-devouring insects cheered for a while, then happily took its children and flew to the other parts of the forest. Lung Ruashue and the others, who had left the Devil Forest, were able to return to Demon City with the help of Ice Spirit's teleportation. Thanks when they returned home, Uncle Long and the others naturally had to explain to Dongfang Yu and the others. Lung Ruashue, on the other hand, carried Bing Yao and went straight to her residence. Sitting in the room, Lung Ruashue suddenly remembered that she seemed to have forgotten something. It was only when Azure appeared and saw the little Qilin in Lung Ruakshu's arms that he roared with jealousy. "Girl, who is this little fellow? How could he occupy its position?" Azure was furious, and the consequences were severe. In the next moment, it squeezed itself into Lung Ruakshu's embrace and used its small claws to kick the ice dragon without a sound. Bing Yao was also furious. "You bastard. If the Kirin didn't show its might, it would be treated like a puppy. This little kitten is so annoying. She actually kicked me with her stinky feet." Oomph. It also kicked. Just like that, the two childish fellows began to fight behind Lung Ruakshu's back. Song's strength was much higher than the Ice Phoenix's. Seeing that this little Qilin actually dared to resist him, he couldn't help but feel surprised. He then stretched out his claws to grab the thick fur on the Ice Phoenix's neck and lifted it up. He smiled at Lung Ruashue and said, "Girl, where did this little fellow come from? Could he be Feng, yes, illegitimate son? Can you let me play with it?" Song's words made Lung Ruashue suddenly realize that Feng Yi did not return with him. Ugh, forget it. There's no difference whether that unreliable fool is with me or not. He'll just let him run his own course. Little Shueshu helped. Seeing that Lung Ruashue was in a daze, Bing Yao could only cry for help pitifully. Whoa, where did this cat come from? What powerful strength! Bing Yao was a little afraid. Lung Ruashue finally reacted and quickly saved Bing Yao from Song's hands. She then said to Song, "Bing Yi is a friend I made in the lower world. Song, you have to treat it well, understand? Friend? Not your beastie. Then why are you hugging it?" Azure said unhappily. It's still young," Lung Ruashue whispered. It was her instinct to carry cute beastie. Who wouldn't want to touch and carry such a cute little fellow? Small? Oh, your strength is quite low? Why don't you let me train you? Azure smiled evilly. No, don't. Bing Yao squeezed into Lung Ruakshu's embrace. Sob, it didn't want to train with this fellow. If it really wanted to train, it would rather train with that strange uncle. At the thought of this, Bing Yao tactfully jumped out of Lung Ruakshu's arms and said to her anxiously, "Little Shueshu, I'm going to find the strange uncle." After saying that, Bing Yao quickly ran away. If he didn't run now, he would lose his life. Sobs. Cats are not to be trifled with these days. Even a cat was riding on his head. For a moment, Bing Yao felt inferior. It didn't like to cultivate at first, but after being frightened by a cat in cat skin, it immediately thought of cultivating. So it ran to find the strange Uncle Ice Soul. Lung Ruashua looked at Bing Yao's fleeing actions and laughed to herself. However, the strange uncle that Bing Yao had mentioned, Bing Pa, was probably going to be overjoyed. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.